there's an onslaught on over-the-counter cold medications, and they're very scarce in the stores right now. So the one that works for me the best is Mucinex. I don't know if you use Mucinex.
Really love Mucinex. Yep.
Mucinex, pretty good. I mean, I got to say, it kind of busted it up after I finally got a hold of some. But it took me 2 days of searching various stores to find any Mucinex on the shelf. And then when you get there, there's like one packet left, and there's 3 or 4 people descending on it. It looks like an NFL fumble, right? Where you keep digging at the bottom of the pile. No, the Colts got it. No, it looks like the Ravens. Unbelievable.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
It was very much like putting a Band-Aid on a brain tumor, wasn't it? Mucinex, it turned out I had COVID. I'm fighting some fat old bag at Publix for the last box of Mucinex. And, I'm sitting there not even knowing that I got COVID-19. You know what I mean. But who's to complain, man? That's long gone, man. We've been having glorious weather here in South Florida. Good morning, everybody. Great to have you with us on this, just absolutely glorious Thursday. As we have many things to get into on the program today. Mike Lubitz is my partner here on the show, and we tried a new experiment. I mean, if we eventually make some money with this thing, I guess it'll be worth it to make the adjustments that we just made in our lifestyle, which is getting up even earlier.
Yeah.
But see, I realized this in the shower this morning as I was taking a shower at about 5:30, and I'm thinking, why am I even awake? I mean, this is ridiculous. But we had to change and juxtapose our schedule to accommodate this new thing, which I believe is the future of all of our broadcasting enterprises. What do you think, Lubie?
You think everything's the future? I'm just throwing stuff at a wall.
15-minute show once a day, and that's it. My dream, Lubie. My dream.
Yeah.
Would be to master this. Are you kidding me? If we could record 5 of them and just work on Mondays, that would be also beautiful. But I guess, in sports, unfortunately, there's a timing element that is not exactly evergreen, right? I mean, if you're making a biography of the Bambino, that's not going to change right now. Most of those facts are going to remain the same. Although the way, this whole cancel culture is gone, they could dig up something on you long after you're passing, my friends, long after you're gone. Anyway, good morning. We've already gone through some stuff here this morning, which I don't know. Is this going to be an asset to this show or detrimental? Because I think I shot my entire load there.
I think it'll prep us and get us going, and then we'll be ready to go when we do this.
I didn't, connect things as well as I would have liked to because I was running out of time there because I slumbered on too long on the very first item, which was betting preseason baseball. Think about that. The sickness, the depravity. I mean, and I was looking at some of the odds out of yesterday's New York Post. Now here's the thing. You have no idea. I mean, guys have uniform numbers that are in the hundreds. They literally do. You have no idea who's going to be playing in any of these games. Often, I don't know, do they still do split squads or in the interest of saving time, they've decided to, do away with that? They still have like an A game and a B game?
I think they do. I don't know. I mean, they I don't know when. It's not always, but they have different days where they'll have a split squad. Yeah.
You're already short on talent because you've diluted the league down to next to nothing with so many teams. And so why not dilute it further in spring training and charge the people $80 to come see this veritable crap that you're presenting? Nobody even knows who's going to be out there. And as we said yesterday, hey, Tebow, grab a bat. That's the big attraction, to watch Tim Tebow slash one to the left side there and try to beat it out while thundering towards first base.
Baseball? I thought you were joking.
No, he's done with baseball, I believe. I think he wants to be like a professional polo player now. Not water polo, on the ponies. I'm pretty sure I saw him with a little helmet on a horse there. I thought he was Angel Cordero. It was Tim Tebow.
He's in
unbelievable. He would fit in there in Wellington. I don't know. I mean, those Bible thumpers in Wellington, they should be, very happy to be sitting on a Bible there, as well as a monumental pile of cash.
Yeah, they're not religious. They're just, it's like
the Wellington people.
It's like Connecticut down south is really what it is.
They don't mess around, too. I mean, they have more horses in the barn there. One polo player, they'll have more horses than Bob Baffert. It's incredible. Although Baffert's horses have all had to go elsewhere now if they're eligible for the Kentucky Derby because still banned. And that was an interesting story out of horse racing. There's a trainer named Dick Dutrow. I'm not sure. There may be a Richard and a Dick Dutrow. I want to say this guy goes by Dick Dutrow. And he was on a 10-year ban from the sport, Libby. Imagine being banned from a sport for 10 years.
Oh, my God.
Literally. I mean, here, Alabama. They don't even suspend a guy for like a half. Who killed a woman. This is no joke. I mean,
involved in a
well,
very
I'm not talking about Miller, but I mean, if Miles was important to them, the guy that was, even more involved in the shooting, and supposedly was not the one who pulled the trigger, but he's there, man. I mean, is that not accomplice to murder?
oh
Not
yeah.
necessarily. I mean, you don't know that
Well,
he
many
was the one that called for the gun, though. So there's something going on there. I would think
yes,
he has some level of complicity in this
yes.
case, no? But if he was their sixth man and not like way down the bench, he would have been playing.
He'd been playing.
Yeah.
Alabama's been clear. They literally mocked the whole thing by doing the metal detector thing was was horrendous. And Nate Oates tried to explain. Well, we're just saying it's like when you go to the airport and he's ready for takeoff. I'm like, what? No, you're mocking.
No, this Nate Oates has been painted as a complete buffoon. You think Nick Saban would put up with being made to look like such a clown? I don't think so. Nick, I mean, if he had to suspend Bryce Young, let's say Bryce Young was a bad apple there and had been involved in a shooting, he seems to be a very, well-mannered and, grounded individual. Does he not, Bryce Young? I haven't seen it. Has he done anything stupid?
No, he's had no issues.
Nothing, right?
Good on and off the field.
Yeah. Honest citizen and seems, a lot like a, very likely number one overall pick, even though this Jalen Carter guy got himself. That's always good right before, you're about to be the number one pick in the NFL draft. Now, this has happened before where stories have come out. I don't know if it's, but in this case, the guy gets arrested.
No, he was in it. And he
for
was,
something that happened, where the poor person, another woman was killed. And supposedly he was like racing with these people. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't want to make assertions that are not founded in truth, but, and not a great look at that point, right? Where you're going to the interviews at the combine. Man, what about this? It was nothing. But Nate Oates, man, I have never seen a guy look the other way. I mean, you talk about a no-look pass. He's given everybody a no-look pass on everything.
It's crazy
in this situation. It's nuts. And we mentioned this before on this show, and I was going to get into this a little bit today on the Defo and 5 thing, but we never really got around to it. And that is all the morality conversations we have about sport. And I'll give you one where I now believe that I was completely on the wrong side of this. All right. Remember Chris Jackson, right? Who became Mahmoud Abdul Rauf.
Yes.
I did not realize how great of a basketball player this guy was. Did you? I mean, when he was at LSU, he was phenomenal. And in high school,
he was great. High school, he was great. NBA
had a couple of good years in the NBA. A couple of good years.
He was good in the NBA. He was an all-star caliber player. He wasn't, because they always now they look back and they change history and say he was the precursor to Steph. At the time, he wasn't. Steph came in and took the NBA.
But he was as versatile and quick and electrifying as you could find a guy. Yes. And he didn't have any great size, to speak of. I think what was he even 6 feet?
No, he was like 5'11", 6 foot. He was very short.
Yeah, but wow, what a dynamic player! I mean, he was explosive and exciting to watch. He really was. But the only thing that you really remember him for is this stance that he had about the anthem, where while the national anthem was playing, I thought he had turned his back to the flag, and then he was like in a position of Muslim prayer. All right. Mm-hmm. And the people were appalled by this. I mean, this is long before Colin Kaepernick took a knee, and it became, kind of a cause célèbre issue. Everybody was opposed, except I will say this: the players in the NBA kind of stood by him a little bit and said, "Well, that's what he believes." Even some of the Muslims, where he was, as a house of worship, were saying, "I don't know about the anthem thing. I'm not really sure about that." Mm-hmm. But America turned its back on this guy. The NBA turned its back on this guy. He was blackballed eventually, and ended up. I think he played in Europe very briefly. Didn't like that. Might have played in Turkey, and then came back and was acquired by the Vancouver Grizzlies. The Grizzlies were playing in Vancouver at the time, and that was basketball purgatory. I mean, what the hell are you doing out there? Mm-hmm. But never was the same. He never rebounded from this whole, what would it be? The flack, I guess. It's not really a controversy over his refusal to acknowledge the American national anthem or acknowledging it in a way that people found insulting.
He didn't kneel. He just turned around.
Yeah. Well, and when you see this, I saw this documentary on him. Have you seen this thing called Stand on Showtime? Lubie?
I've heard about it. I've heard it's really good.
It's good. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's kind of an eye-opener. And, I was thinking back in, I guess it was 1969, my senior year of high school. and this was a high school where in Nassau County, it wasn't like it was affluent or anything, but the people weren't poor schminks either. All right,
Yeah, yeah.
it was a public school. All right, and the social studies class, they ask you to line up on one side of the room and the other, whether you were in favor of the war in Vietnam or not.
Oh,
Okay,
jeez.
this might have been my junior year, where it was like 1968, and we really weren't that aware. I mean, everybody just believed whatever America did was right. That was what kind of was impressed upon you when were in high school. Now, a year later, we're burning draft cards, and people are doing all kinds of things in the way of protest against what was happening. But I remember, I actually lined up on the side that I was in favor of snuffing out communism. I mean, holy Ron DeSantis.
Well,
And
I mean, you were a kid. You're gonna believe it. They did a
yeah.
really good job at the propaganda.
And one of the smart kids who was like the spokesman for that side of things gets up and says, "Well, a small war is good for the nation's economy." I'll never forget this. And I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's a reason to go out there and kill those gooks. I mean, what kind of crap is that? That's when I walked to the other side of the room and said, "Wait a minute now, this doesn't sound right."
Well, that's because World War I and World War II were for like certain countries, not named Germany. The war brought jobs. It brought job creation. It brought industry. But that's not all. Like the new wars, Vietnam.
Not a reason to go and get involved in some war in the jungle that has no consequence for Americans whatsoever.
Storm wasn't that. Like it was just us trying to assert our will, and the other country didn't ask for it.
Yeah. The point being that with this Raouf thing, I naturally was immediately appalled by his refusal to acknowledge the national anthem, because my theory is, as radical as I might have been, upon opening my eyes and going to college there, right around that time, 1969, where it was an epiphany for a lot of people when it came to government and the way things were going and oppression and all of this other stuff. But and this occurred after that. This whole Raouf thing that was much later on, and yet it was appalling to me, because I still believed that hey, stand up for the flag there. This is the country that gives you the opportunity to go out there and and openly say, hey, I'm opposed to this. I'm not happy about this, and at least you're not being well. I mean, some people were being locked away and thrown in jail. Others were being shot at. And I guess it wasn't so great.
No, that's the thing. It's an oxymoron though when you're like, stand up because you're allowed to sit down. It's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
happy we have freedom. So you're mad that he's expressing his freedom. Like as long as you're not hurting anyone, that's and we try to stay away from politics. But that's why the governor is so funny to me. He's like, I want freedom to not wear a mask, but you're not allowed to say this. You're not allowed to teach this. You're not allowed to do this to your body. Yeah, it's like, okay, dude, you're being really fucking strange.
I took some flack from friends of mine about making fun of the fact that if any book should be banned, it's Ron DeSantis' new book in the state of Florida.
It's like a joke. It's like, what could it even be about this fucking guy? Like, he hasn't been through anything. He was gifted his degrees. He didn't even serve, really. It was like a Trump kind of serving. He didn't. The reality is he didn't serve. Like, what is he writing a book about? Being gifted his way through life?
I don't know. The guy's, a little bit frightening for me. That's for sure. And one can only hope it doesn't happen again. Right?
Anyways,
we've already been through this one time with this kind of thinking running the country. Exactly. Although that guy at least was a complete clown, so there were some checks and balances in place there. Like when he lifted all of those railroad restrictions there, so the trains could crash in Ohio, then visited the site
exactly, and then acted like it was Biden's fault.
Holy Al Sharpton, man! What are we talking about here?
It's funny, like. Look, I like you. I grew up here, and I'm a white guy, so the country's been good to me. I Jewish stuff.
I love it. I never wanted to leave US. I didn't even want to do a semester abroad in college because I loved it here so much.
I was never that far, but when the anthem comes, I stand up. I put my heart. I always sing it, and a lot of the times I'll do the corny tear in the eye kind of a thing if it's the right moment. But
I don't go that far. I can't say that I do that.
I'm not saying it's every time, but there have been times in my life where 9/11 and I fell for all the crap. Like I'm not going to lie, but that's me. Like not everyone's had my experience. And I always think that's sort of douchey to put your experience on others and say, well, you don't need to do anything as long as you're
Right.
not.
I mean, if you want to honor the flag, what do I care if the guy's sitting down next to me? I don't need to whap him in the head there and say, take your hat off.
Here's a shit.
Sit down. What do I care? You're a schmuck. I mean, if you want to think that, that's one thing. And he's probably thinking, hey, what an asshole here. Look at this guy, this robotic response there to everything that's going on in America. But the point being, I mean, we do a lot of moralizing in sports talk, especially, don't we? And yet I was dead wrong about this Raouf guy at the time. Because I also fell in line. I mean, I wasn't as radical. I wasn't going to go and put a sheet over my head and burn down his house, as happened. But years later, now that might have happened anyway in a location. He was somewhere in some county in South Carolina, I believe, that was nothing but Klansmen, were his neighbors. I mean, there were burning crosses on the other lawns. And, I mean, it was just short of having the little black jockey outside the house. It was some serious ugliness there in terms of, racial bias. And here's a black guy going to move into their neighborhood. I mean, you don't expect that to happen. I mean, you can't anticipate, oh, yeah, these assholes are going to burn my house down. But, I mean, the guy was a very principled guy. It wasn't like he was some radical maniac. He wasn't asking for anything from anybody. And he wasn't telling you, hey, you can't do this. This was like his sincere inner belief that he had come to through various explorations of religion and things that meant something to him. Now that this would not have been my path, but I don't know that. I mean, I feel like a fool that I felt that way about Mahmoud Abdul Raouf after watching this thing. Okay, I mean, and so sometimes you could be on the wrong side of it. I don't know. People, even Goodell changed his mind about he's kneeling with Colin Kaepernick after a while. Raj is on one knee, put a little towel down like it was Craig Stadler trying to, create a lie there. When remember he got the 2-stroke penalty in the tournament. I don't know if you remember that. I do. I happen to be watching, and I'm thinking the only reason this guy put a towel beneath his knee was because he only had one pair of pants that fit, and it was only Saturday. This was the third round. Some jerk calls the TV truck like Frank Chirkinian, that gets on the phone himself and says, oh, yeah, that's a 2-shot penalty? Okay, we'll look into that.
That always seems so.
And they read him out.
That's what's great about sports. The refs, and people hate it, but the refs catch you or they don't.
Yeah.
If they don't catch you, it's like that stupid ass commercial that every athlete hates where the ref gives the ball to his team, but it clearly went out on him. And he turns to the ref. He's like, no, ref, it's their ball. It's like, fuck you, kid.
Yeah. That ain't happening. Oh, it was off me.
It's no way. You're like, well.
But that lends itself into another area there where, you don't want to be playing a guy in tennis, which I made my return to the courts. Not very triumphant, I would say.
Oh, you did?
It was ugliness.
Well,
you know what? I believe this, though, and maybe this happens. You see this with aging ball players. Where like a guy, although I guess you can't use Albert Pujols as an example, because when it appeared that these injuries, each time he came back, he was a little less of himself than he was before. And then all of a sudden, when he needed to eclipse what was it, 700 homer mark? Was it 600? 700.
Did he get over 700?
Did he get to 7? No.
I don't think he got to 7.
I want to say it was 6.
I think it's 650 or something.
Yeah, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, when he was going for these milestones, all of a sudden, he was able to hit like 27 home runs in the last, 14 games of the season.
All of a sudden.
But I experienced this yesterday. I don't know that. I mean, I wasn't really, great ever at this game, even though I've been playing it for over 30 years, which is really kind of an embarrassment, isn't it, Lubie? You think you'd be better?
It was 700. He ended up at 703.
700, yeah. I wanted to say 700.
It was third all time, I guess, is what it was.
But coming back becomes more and more prohibitive. Coming back to any semblance of form. Because I literally, it was like I had 2 club feet yesterday. Tripping over myself. I couldn't, maneuver at all. And, it had been only a 3-month layoff. Imagine if it was longer, right? I'll be playing wheelchair tennis, I think, pretty soon. Just to be, it would be better for my mobility at this stage to just jump in a chair right now and start trying to learn how to play. But and I have great respect for the people that do that. But in my case, the wheelchair is not necessitated by anything other than the fact that the older you get, the less maneuverability you have. Let's put it that way. It was ugly yesterday, Lubie. Very, very ugly. And not necessarily anything that was overwhelmingly encouraging. I'll have to get back out there again, see what happens. All right, a bunch of other stuff. Just to conclude this thing on a morality thing, I mean, you could be dead wrong about it, and we do it all the time.
Yeah.
And yet, no matter what you feel about it, I mean, when you look at this Alabama, I remember the Mad Dog. That was his famous line, right? And he was actually referencing the Mad Dog Jim Manich. Good. If you're not from South Florida, you might not know Jim Manich. He was a Dolphin player and captain of the Michigan football team. Was on the undefeated Dolphin team in 1972. Went on to a nice career in professional football. Became a famous broadcaster here in South Florida. Mostly a local guy because the people loved him, right? Because he was telling it like it is. And then one of his famous statements, he was talking about the radio station, and it wasn't uncommon to have like a 14-minute commercial block. We would talk for about 3 minutes on the morning show there. Joe Rose would say, I can't believe you said that, Defo. And before I had a chance to respond, we would say, well, we'll come back and talk about that. And then we'd go like on a break that was long enough for all of us literally to go outside and have a game of stickball that went like 3 innings. No lying. We come back in, the spots were still playing, all right? So the Mad Dog looks at that and he says, this station stands for nothing. Which was kind of ironic because the Mad Dog had his own enterprise where he played even longer spot breaks.
Yeah.
It was interminable. I mean, he would throw like every commercial that had ever been recorded for the organization. I think it was, he had like a MZM Sports.
Radio Network or something. Yeah, I remember,
yeah, that guy Randy Kasowitz, he had to be a dynamic salesman, man. Either that or he had pictures of people.
He wasn't good on air.
Yeah. Mad Dog's popularity, much like Mike Mayo's, what was enough to draw sponsors to just volunteer their capital. Yeah. They would say, hey, Jim, how do I become a sponsor on the show? And a guy would say, I got no room for you. I tell you what, I'm sold out for the next 11 years. But if you got 25 grand.
They give you a title sponsor of the segment.
I can get you in a couple of games. I mean, he knew how to package his shit. He was unbelievable. And I love the guy. This is no knock. I'm not disparaging the dead. I mean, he was terrific. And I feel like I had a hand in what broadcasting success he had, a small hand. Obviously, he did it all on his own, but he was a complete stiff when he was working. He was working with Joe Zagacki on pregame shows, and you would rather have like breakfast with Booger McFarland. Let's put it that way, because it was all the same matter of fact stuff. Well, you know what? When they run that 4-3. They're much more effective than when they drop into the 3-4 and use the two, man cover. Like what? I don't remember what I had for breakfast, Matt. What the hell does that mean, right? So, and he kind of loosened up a little bit when we started working together, and we had a lot of fun. And he realized that that's entertainment. That's what it's all about, right, Lubie? You too. I mean, you were kind of a straight-laced guy. You wanted to have those discussions. Does Durant need another title? To fulfill his legacy.
I don't know if I would have fallen for that.
He has to win one on his own. He has to take literally the remnants of the Washington Generals at their current age.
That's the thing. Like, and we're not going to get into the discussion because it's inane. But that, like, is this the team that's winning on his? Like, what team? Because he's now here. He's not leaving again right now. This team's loaded, and this team was close to winning without him. I guess they hadn't won.
They were among. I mean, they failed actually at the moment of truth in the postseason, but they had one of the great seasons in NBA history.
Was it 2 years ago they got to a finals, and last year they were a 1 seed and got upended early. So it's not like this is winning. It's not the team he built.
No, he dropped into an all-star team. For God's sake. They had to get rid of some of the supporting cast to go ahead and accommodate the acquisition of Kevin Durant. But I mean, I'll give him credit, man. I didn't see much of the game, so actually I saw none of the game. I saw some highlights.
7 minutes, so that's how you know that he had. A good, is that I know you were going to say he scored 23, so you don't know how well he did. He played 27 minutes.
In a blowout over the Charlotte Hornets, who lost LaMelo Ball the other night for the season. Did you see that? That was a weird Marino type injury.
He broke his
non-contact. Breaking of an ankle, man. How fragile are this kid's ankles? He's had ankle problems in the past, has he not, LaMelo Ball?
Yeah, it's not good.
It's a shame he can't get going, but I mean, he literally snapped a sesamoid bone there. I mean, it was like watching Go for Juan go down in that big race, and you're like, wait a minute, wow, how did that happen? That's impossible. Remember Marino's rolling out, I think, to his left, and then all of a sudden he takes a bad step there with some shitty turf. I think that was in Cleveland, as much as he was able to compensate for the knee damage, that was it. was never the same after that, right? Jimmy, wanted to go with Damon Heward. Come on, Jimmy. Do we ask Jimmy about that, or we just let that one go?
I don't think you did when we were with
No,
him.
I mean we didn't last time. I mean, if we were being,
Whenever we
really, I mean, just investigative journalists, do we get his opinion about? Did he really believe that Damon Heward was a better quarterback than Dan Marino? Well, you say better.
I'll definitely ask him. Yeah, why not?
Mike McDaniel has become great at deflecting anything and just answering questions that leave you like Professor Irwin Corey, completely confused. At the end of the answer, you don't even remember what the question was. It was great. Yeah. No, he's great at that now. Hey, is Stewie your quarterback? Well, you say my quarterback.
Exactly. What do you mean by quarterback?
Well, we respect what he does, but we're not sure about that mushroom he has upstairs there. I mean, that's a little soft. That cranium, it's not exactly, Marvin Hagler. I had to grant it. Unbelievable. All right, we have the trivia challenge coming up with Dave Gurggles Gergely. That's going to be a lot of fun. Hialeah Park bringing you that. And then later on, we get into some. I mean, it was great yesterday. We had 2 great conversations going with Tommy Hutton. And then later on, we had Eric Reed on the show. I always enjoy Eric. And then Tony was a lot of fun talking about the old days of the Converse All-Stars. Speaking of Converse All-Stars, here's our own All-Star, Dave Gurggles Gergely.
There he is.
Gurggles looking good, kid. How are you?
Beautiful. I love the new background with the shot of Miami in the background there. Beautiful. It looks like a couple of broken down jet skis on the right. Are they?
Don't talk to me about broken down jet skis. Those are the only kind of jet skis that I ever owned. I was broken down. The Wave Blaster was the worst of them because it also was very poor when it came to balance. So there was a good chance that when it shut down, which was inevitable, while you were just, you just figured out, and Lubie, I don't know, we never got out in the ocean when Lubie was on the skis there. But I used to go out all the time with the guy that owns Landlubbers, Alex Sufrene, man. He was pretty cool. And then I had this one little wave runner one time. I didn't feel like spending much money on the second one because I had one good one. And literally, I mean, it was like less stable than the bobber that you put when you're fishing. I mean, and as soon as something tugs on it, it would go under and flip. And there you were in the drink, which was not. I mean, all of a sudden you're Alien Gonzalez. It was unbelievable. You're just floating around there waiting for the.
But I remember the day standing next to you when you hit the pick 3 to buy those wave runners.
Oh yeah, no, that was great. A Polyman tip horse.
Yeah.
I got a tip from a guy they called the crippled waiter because he did walk with a bit of a limp and he didn't mind the reference and then I remember after that first race, which was the tip from the crippled waiter, I saw my friend Patrick Reardon, who was a trainer who was ruled off most tracks around the world for illicit activity. The syringes were always a dead giveaway with Patrick, but he was always on to information. But I said, "Hey, wow, give the waiter a stick here because that was a great tip, a great way to start things off." And he said, "Oh no, that guy's been wrong like the last 100 times I've talked to him. I just gave you the horse anyway." I'm like, "Oh my God!" So meanwhile, that was like a big key, and then the Polyman had a tip on a horse in the last leg, and it came through. With flying colors. Yeah, that was good. You were there that day? I remember feeling pretty good about that.
I remember. Yeah, I remember what you collected around 10, somewhere around there, and said you were going to buy some wave runners. I do remember. Yep.
I'd seen a wave runner, and I was doing a boat show appearance, but I think I might have been doing a little bit of coke at that time. And I had forgotten about the appearance, how they roll out there on a Saturday. And I was like, beside myself, out of my mind. And maybe that's why I thought the wave runner was a good idea to buy. But you know how that goes, Gurggles. You've made more big scores than I have for sure, over the years with your pick 5s and pick 6s and your pools and all of this other stuff. I mean, you made some major scores, which is fantastic. Do you make up your mind to buy something finally? Or do you just keep it in the cookie jar and piss it all back? What do you think?
Well, I think it's more the latter. When we hit we hit one at Laurel, 3 of us. It was closing day. They had to force out a pick 6, and we each picked a horse in each race, and everyone contributed, and it came back 14,400 for the 3 of us. So we split it $4,800 apiece. The guy came back from the cashier with 3 $5,000 wrappers, each with 200 missing. Gave me my $4,800, and then he proceeded to buy double Macallans for all of us. I got home I put the money in my in the jar that I put them, stuff like that,
Yeah.
and I was out of it. And I laid my phone down in the kitchen by mistake while I was doing it. The next day, I thought I'd lost my phone. Drove back to Gulfstream, couldn't find it. Bought a new phone. Got back and found the old phone in the frying pan in the kitchen next to where I put the money. So.
And you don't even smoke weed or do any drugs whatsoever, Gurggles. Wow, you can't blame this on.
No, I blame it on some really good whiskey. Yeah, the double Macallan was really good, but yeah, no more of that stuff. But
that's
yeah,
the
we've had some
finding
scores, and
yeah, go ahead.
Big week. By the way, I forgot to ask you guys, did you get to the fights?
Yes, it was a great night. Great night. Lubie didn't go.
Frankie said it was terrific.
I was out of town.
They had a great crowd.
I had three groups in the hotel. Yeah. Beautiful.
It was a beautiful night. It really was, and it turned out to be a great night. I ran into a lot of people that I used to know, believe it or not, from the old days of WIOD. A couple of guys that they must have really been young when they were working there because they were still young, in my estimation. And they were like, Defo, man, good to see you. And you know how it is. I mean, when you're one of the geezers at Caesars, you don't remember anybody, right? I mean, if my mom was still alive, I would have trouble recognizing her. It's like, hey, how you doing? And you're hoping the guy sort of gives you some kind of indication as to who he was in your life. And then they reminded me that, they worked with me at WIOD and, talked about the old days there. And there were a lot of people of that, category where I would say if it was one, it was a half a dozen. Of people I hadn't seen in a long time that, we're all partying there at the fights. You know what? It's great. And Frankie, I mean, he really does look great. He looks like he could knock out Tito Trinidad right now if Trinidad was in his prime. Now he probably could knock out Trinidad. But and what a well-run event, though. I mean, it was just beautifully orchestrated by the people at Hialeah Park. Now, the fights were kind of blowouts, but, the right guys were winning. I was going to make a 9-fight blue corner parlay. I was telling John Hernandez, who was doing the publicity, and he put it up on Facebook the next day with a picture of the big knockout in the final bout. There it was a 1-round knockout by Guillermo Rigondeaux, and he put up Defoe's 9-fight parlay hits, but you couldn't have bet it. I mean, it would have been tough to find a place that was going to book some of this stuff, but it was great. The people had a great time, and really, really well done. So. Looking forward to it the next time out. All right, Gurggles, and you're busy with all your golf enterprises there?
Yeah. Matter of fact, a week from Thursday, I won't be able to make it. I've got another tournament. We just finished with the groups from Ohio, from Pittsburgh, from Cincinnati, from South Jersey. Now the tournament season starts. So I've got to beat the broadcaster tomorrow, and I've got a tournament next Thursday and Friday. So from now on in, we'll be quite busy. And of course, we have FEMA, it looks like FEMA trailers outside. We're going to be tearing down all of this in July and building a brand new clubhouse, banquet facility, restaurant, etc. And so it's big things coming here. Yeah.
Going to be operating out of tents, for a little while. I mean, what's the deal?
Trailer, double wide trailers with air conditioning, with restaurant. I mean, gorgeous looking trailers. But I started in 1982 when I opened the athletic club in a trailer while that was being built. So looks like I'm going to finish the same way. Not a problem.
Yeah, I think I'm going to finish in a trailer also. Pretty sure. I feel like, the opening of that Phil Rizzuto Money Store commercial. Can you believe these taxes? Unbelievable.
I remember.
All right, we're going to have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. You can jump on board. We're always looking for new blood in this thing, too. Hey, we should play honorary celebrity player Jim Sarney should dial us in.
Sarney should play. Yeah,
he's reluctant to go on air. He says he's not really big on doing interviews and stuff like that. Because I invited him to do a thing. I thought it'd be cool because of his dedication to telling you what's on TV. I mean, he'll give you 11 entries. Gurggles. I mean, and that doesn't even include my first entry, which is TVG. Did you ever get that? I mean, you see, you're not with women long enough, and you use the shipper system, which I think is brilliant on your part, where they don't live with you. They don't even live in the same state, but they're around, which is great. But I remember this happened with college basketball, but this predated TVG. But, almost every woman in my life, once TVG came into existence, what was like, do you watch that all day long? And it's like, no, I watch other stuff. As you're betting the 12th at Balmoral on a Sunday night, and you can't recognize what's going on because they had the camera at the head of the stretch. on the harness racing, and the stretch was like 80 miles long. All right, dial us up if you want to play. 954-471-0070. That's the same number for cash call, by the way. If
417. Listen to
Oh, 417. Why
screen.
did I juxtapose that? 417-0070, right?
Yes, it's on the screen.
Okay. It's on the screen? Okay, good. All right. And most of the regulars know the number. So here I am trying to encourage people to call in for the first time and getting out the wrong number.
Don't listen to Defo. Read the screen. Don't call. Whoever that is you're calling, I apologize.
Yeah. Calling some Chinese restaurant in Hialeah. Yeah. What's the name of that place again? I passed it. Now it escapes me. The one with the bucket of fried rice. It's right there on East 4th, Gurggles. You used to pass it by all the time. It's not Hunan Kitchen.
I don't remember.
Yeah. China Bistro is no, that's too fancy of a name for a place in Hialeah. But no, it was great time down there, Hialeah Park, and it's still good to go, right? I mean, March Madness at Hialeah Park is absolutely fantastic. It was great. I was punching away in the champion simulcasting room, and those same guys that were there for the Derby were at that same table, and they were celebrating still. Not just the Derby win, but they were hitting race after race. Bar was open. It was absolutely fantastic. The Crossover Cafe. What a beautiful setup, huh, for horse racing. It's nice. And Frankie said like a first-time starter, like a guy came out of nowhere and won the handicapping contest. Did you get those details?
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. It was an Asian gentleman who I don't even know if he'd ever played before. He beat all the Sharpies. And ended up winning. Now he's going to the NHC. So that's fantastic. It's the kind of dreams that can come true at Hialeah Park. Beautiful grounds. As always, you feel like you just stepped off the face of the earth into a utopia. And then you would be a great poker player, Gurggles. Did you ever try your hand at that?
Yeah, I play a little Texas Hold'em. Omaha is a really good game, but that's a tough one for me. But I play a little bit of poker, but not as much. I'm more like a casino, like a let it ride type of guy, where I go to casinos and play. That way I don't feel bad if I beat some person and just beat the dealer, or the dealer plays with you actually in that. But yeah, I play a little bit of poker in my time, but not as good as your son.
Oh no, he's a good poker player, no doubt about it. You though are the champion of Let It Ride. Lubie on the birthday celebration, he comes out there about a year and a half ago, and sits down. And what happened? You got dealt like 4 of a kind right away.
No. Let it ride. You get 3 cards. So
right.
I had
but I
two
mean,
sixes and 2 6s and a 10 or something, and the dealer flips up a 6, and there's one more card coming. I said, "You got another 6 in there?" And sure enough, they did. And the progressive jackpot was 2,100, and it was another 1,200 for what I had. So being the magnanimous guy that I am, the lady that paid for the hotel room, dinner, and I stayed with, I gave her 300. She goes, "You don't need to give me anything."
Very nice.
I almost took it back, but yeah. Then you and I had to pick 5 at Woodbine the next day.
You were on fire, Gurggles. I've never seen. I've seen you hot, but that was absolutely amazing. And the emceeing job by Gurggles at the birthday dinner was priceless. Absolutely amazing. Maybe one of your finest ever in that capacity as an MC. It was really, really, really well done. All right, we're going to come back with the trivia challenge. Then later on. Glenn Geffner on Major League Baseball, and I guess he's not affiliated with the Marlins anymore, so we'll broaden the scope. I don't feel obligated to ask 20 questions about the Marlins, although we would have 20 easy ones for him now.
He's being very honest. He literally is complaining because the guy who took over his roles, we're friendly with, and we liked Kyle Seeloff, and he was a guy that would help us out a lot.
Paid his dues, as they say.
He's been around a long time, but he wasn't Glenn Geffner, and they replaced Glenn Geffner with Seeloff, and they talked about, we wanted someone more conversational and someone who wasn't stat driven. I mean, that's not it.
That's a cost-cutting measure.
And Glenn Geffner had been he called Red Sox games. Like the dude's been calling for like 20-something years. Like,
no, and he was a good listen for baseball.
Easy listen, yeah.
Right. I mean, because it's very difficult to do sporting events, a play-by-play live if there's zero crowd noise. I mean, as compared to, the crowd has its natural reaction, and you can kind of, let that, be emitted to the people, especially if you're doing, he was doing radio. But, I mean, if you hear the crack of the bat and then you hear the crowd erupt, right, it's easier to emote a little bit more and, make the game sound like it's exciting as opposed to, and then you hear cricket, cricket, cricket,
Yeah, it's like
cricket.
golf.
Unbelievable.
So he on Twitter literally talked about it. So he's been pretty honest. So he's willing to talk about whatever, which is cool.
All right, we'll get into it, and that's going to be fun. And then Mike Vaccaro, the New York Post, one of our favorites, is going to join us here. A lot of stuff going on in New York, as always, and we'll get into it with Mike Vaccaro. Dave has the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Don't forget, get out to Hialeah Park. First thing I recommend, David, get a player's card. You know how they do it with the rewards program there. I mean, all of a sudden, those croquetas around the house. How about that? Thank you very much. I mean, a lot of amenities go along with it, including a generous allotment of free play. Saw Steve Calabro. He said to say hello to you, Gurggles. I mean,
good man.
Is that guy not? I mean, does he have the most dynamic smile of anybody you've ever seen? And there's reason for it, because they're paying out their jackpots and their payouts on the slot machines in the same proportions that you would get if you went to like Atlantic City or Las Vegas. Whereas a lot of the local casinos, they hand you a noose when you walk in there because, they know eventually your money is going to be hanging with them. All right, we're going to come back with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge in a moment. 954-417, right, Lubie? 0070? 954-417-0070. Back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
7:42. The Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubber's Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante. The Belmont's now 1.8 miles. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici, just switch the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
It's Bocelli-esque, the way that resonates. The Polyman, ladies and gentlemen, who's doing fine and has vowed to return to the program sometime in the very near future. As soon as you get that Greenlight Ventures thing going with Big Jack. I always love that. He's optimistic like I am. Lubie and I did flirt with syndication very briefly. We were talking about it earlier this morning when we substituted on the Nick and Artie show. But that also followed a live appearance at a strip club for the local radio station, a strip club in Hialeah. That its distinction was that the name itself kind of suggested what you were getting into, Porky's. It was It was a good time. It was a good time. They had better food there than you would imagine. A lot of people would just go in there for the food. It's kind of like you would buy Playboy, for the articles. But yeah, people did go in there to dine.
Yeah, that's what people buy Playboy.
Thinking about a steak tonight. Yeah, how about Porky's? Yeah, great idea.
There you go.
Right up there with Peter Luger's. All right, you ready for the challenge now? Now, Lubie's going to be doing a live trivia thing later on tonight at Landlubbers. You win a Landlubbers gift certificate if you win the game. A lot of people are very familiar with that.
Mhm.
And you'll be on hand with the professor, will you not, tonight at Landlubbers?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. And it's a very, very well conducted live trivia competition. This isn't one of those lame ones. And the questions are especially challenging, as the professor's very competitive, right? We come not to praise Caesar, but to bury him.
Not to give anything away, because that's the other thing is when I started doing trivia. This started with me doing trivia for an organization, and then Vega, where we've been doing it now. I think it's like a decade. Maybe it might be more than a decade.
Wow, you got a job for 10 years? Are you kidding me, Lubie?
Well, I think like these, don't last. But literally COVID came. We stopped for a year, and then they brought. I thought it was done, and they wanted us to come back in the middle of COVID, so it was pretty cool when COVID died down. Like I used to give lots of hints because I realized if people were doing okay, they hang around. So I would want people to stay engaged.
Yeah.
Ken doesn't give a shit. So Ken hates when
he likes seeing them carried out in body bags. He loves that. Yeah.
He's like Gurggles isn't mean, but he's not like he's the fan of the sweeper. So early on, I would give little hints just to keep people, and Ken would give me the scowl and yell at me because he puts a lot of time into it, and I appreciate his efforts. But yes, it's not the easiest trivia. It's not hard. It's like Ron, our friend Ron, who loves to play our trivia, bitches about it every week. But look, it's like gambling. It's not supposed to be called winning. You're supposed to
be challenging. Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
And when Gurgle sees there's a possibility of a sweeper, you'll see him very deviously. You'll look down and thumb his way into the ABA file.
Look at the horse racing 1945.
Where I answer Connie Hawkins to every question. I don't even care if it's one of the choices. All right, let's get into it, Dave. You ready to go? And we dedicate the game to the Polyman, our good friend, the dear friend of ours for many, many years. Man who started out, the origination of the game came about, and actually by somewhat fugazi circumstances, i.e. we were broke and we had no other ideas, and we found somebody that had some money to do a trivia contest. Well, I mean, desperation is the mother of invention. There's no doubt about that.
100%.
And so we dedicate this game to the Polyman, and we're going to start it out with Dave Gurggles Gergely and some
easy baseball. This former Los Angeles Dodgers outfielder, when asked if he ever prayed before a game, he says, "Oh yeah, I pray for two things. Please don't let him hit the ball to me, and please don't ever let him hit the ball to Steve Sachs." What was that? Pedro Guerrera, Pancho Herrera, Walter Guerra, or Marco Mera?
Man, when he got Steve Blast disease, that was really weird because he was very popular in L.A. before he started throwing the ball into the stands on every play. All right, here's the random phone scrambler, and it lands on classic Lenny the Chronic to start us out. Chronic, how are you?
Good morning, guys. Looking forward
to
Lenny. Ask this question tonight. How are you?
Doing great. We're going to give you 1 point.
Free tonight.
All right, whatever you said, we're still going to give you a point. Oh no, Gurggles, he's going to be busy for the rest of his life, I think. He's Thursday.
I got a tournament tomorrow morning, so I can't get there. But I would go for the food, not necessarily the camaraderie. Believe me. All right. Anyway,
here we go.
True or false, Letty? Baseball. Believe it or not, leave it to the Yankees to make a buck. Any replay challenges this year by the Yankees or their opposition will be sponsored by Lens Crafters. True or false?
Yeah, why not? True.
No, made that up. Good one, Gurggles.
Yeah, all right.
It's
Paulie,
actually
that one was for you, Paulie. All right.
It's going to be the money store, I think. Yeah.
Money store.
All right, one going for 4 here, Lenny the Chronic.
All right, Lenny. Well, it's the Fountain of Youth this weekend. So we want to know from you which jockey has won the 2 previous Fountain of Youth stakes in 2021 and 2022.
All right.
What's that? Irad Ortiz, Joel Rosario, Mike Smith, or Jose Ortiz?
Let's go with Joel.
Rosario? No. It has to be Irad, no?
It was not Jose Ortiz won the last two. His brother.
I'd have been more likely to say Ramsey Zimmerman at that point, but no, good job there, Gurggles. All right, no sort of a sweep, but shot at first place here. Obviously, since you're our first player with a qualifying total, you could have 6 points if you get this one right, Lenny.
NBA, Lenny, which two-time coach of the year in the NBA had the biggest gap in years between winning this honor?
Okay, good
Was
one.
that Don Nelson, Gene Shue, Cotton Fitzsimmons, or Hubie Brown?
Let's go Hubie Brown.
Hubie doobie doo. Good job there, Lenny.
25-year gap, 77 to 2003. Well done, Lenny.
Wow, good job, Chronic Man. Thanks.
Excellent job there.
In the finals, we'll get you on. Hold on.
The stud kid from Edmonton has scored multiple goals in 5 straight games. And this will probably be part of the trivia itinerary, although since it's about to happen. The guys that have had 6 straight games of multiple goal games in the NHL go back to like 1920. Can you believe that?
Wow.
I mean, this hasn't been done in a long, long time. And, I mean, you're thinking these are the kind of records that, you might have seen in baseball before steroids obliterated all of them. But, 1920s, the last time there were 2 guys, I think, in 2021 and 21 and 22 that had 6 straight games of multiple goal games. So very unlikely, a very uncommon occurrence. All right, you can dial us up if you want to play, 954-417-0070. We have Lenny in the house there with 6 points, which is a good total. Way to start us out. Nice pace. What is that, about 47-4? Maybe a little slower, 48-2? What do you think? For the first half mile, we're going a mile and a 16. Okay. All right, and we're ready with Dave Gurggles Gergely and our next set of questions.
Boxing. This Hall of Fame sports writer describing a fighter once said, Frank Bruno has a chin of such fine Waterford crystal, it gives rise to the old adage, people who live with glass jaws shouldn't throw punches. What's that? The great Jim Murray, Jan Murray, Eddie Murray, or Murray the Cop?
Go ahead and roll it there, Will. There'll be the random phone scrambler. And it lands on Mike. Mike, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. I missed you guys last week, eh?
Good morning.
Hey, it is. Yeah, load management for Gurggles. He had a load on his schedule there.
Yeah.
That was far more important than this. Yeah. Which he was making money with, which is always good. All right. You have one. You're going for 2 here, Mike.
All right, baseball, Mike, believe it or not, in conjunction with the World Baseball Classic, the Miami Beach Jewish Community Center will host a program called Jews on First to celebrate the WBC. True or false?
Wow, that's very dicey.
I think I were Jewish.
Oh my God, I gotta go false there. I gotta go false.
That's gotta
That's
be
true.
No, that's true. That's true. I wouldn't have said it otherwise.
Gotta be.
No?
I would not have said it otherwise if it wasn't actually put out by the JCC. I have an ultimate respect for all religions, so I would not say that. But yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I mean,
it's going to be, I think, next Thursday night. Jews on First. Yep, we'll be out in Costello, but we'll find out.
We could never get the marketing people, and I ran into one of them, the former VP of Carl the Racecourse, a good friend of mine, Dean Mertens, who has a barbecue grill company where they do all kinds of outdoor islands and stuff like that. Fantastic place and any kind of grill you're looking for. Although he's had trouble recently. He's on a corner of Federal Highway just south of Atlantic, not quite on the corner.
Okay.
And it seems like every car that goes off the rails goes through his window.
Oh, no.
Wow.
It's happened twice.
Oh, no.
Where a car just went flying through the guy's window of his shop there. He's letting his hair grow down to the middle of his back anyway. But I tried to suggest that when Hank Goldberg and our good friend Eddie Kaplan and I were out there doing these shows on, I guess this was on QAM, and they would have the 3 of us go out there to the track there and do a show together. It was during Hank's hours of being on the air, and I tried to get him to bill it as the 3 live Jews, and he never did it. He was worried about certain sensitivities, but I mean, what better name for it could there have been, right? 3 live Jews right out there at the track. Would have been great. All right, good one there, Gurggles. You've been dynamite on the true false. Very tough to gauge. So we have Mike with 1 going for 4.
All right, here we go. Boxing. When Roberto Duran quit versus Sugar Ray Leonard in the famous no Moss bout, he had been 72-1 going into that, suffering his only loss to
Ooh.
Was that Ivan de Jesus, Esteban de Jesus, Christian Torres, or Rafael Vasquez?
Torres.
I'm going to say Esteban. Yeah,
you knew it. Esteban Torres. Christian
no,
Torres
de
is a
Jesus.
jockey at Oakland,
Esteban
by the
de
way.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yep.
Was that the guy that came in with the snake around his neck? He had like a boa constrictor around his neck. He was a real animal, this guy, man. To beat Duran, he had to be good. All right, going for 6 points just to tie you with Lenny, Mike.
All right, Mike. Here we go. Baseball. Which of the following players
did not
is one of the all-time?
No,
is one of the all-time leaders in ejections from the game, from being ejected.
Great.
Which of the following players is one of the all-time leaders in being ejected from a game?
Is Tommy Hutton one of the choices? Tommy Hutton?
No, too nice a guy.
Yeah.
Gary Sheffield, Jimmy Pearsall, Don Drysdale, or Johnny Bench?
Oh my God.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Who was A?
A was Gary Sheffield.
What was A?
Sheffield.
Okay.
Gary Sheffield.
He says it.
Believe it or not, think about it. Who would
I
argue?
want to say
balls
Don
and strikes the
Drysdale.
most?
Don Drysdale.
No, the catcher would. Johnny Bench.
Oh, Bench.
Wow. Ejection.
The bench was
Yeah.
fire. I can see bench. All right. Thanks, Mike, for playing.
All right, Mike, thanks for playing the game. Appreciate that. You can dial us up, 954-417-0070 if you'd like to play. Later on the show, we're going to have a good time. Glenn Geffner going to join us, talking a little baseball. Very, very well-liked Marlins announcer for many, many years. Did a great job there with Dave Van Horn. He was kind of Dave's. I love Dave Van Horn, but last couple of years, Dave might have been right up there with John Sterling in terms of there's a fly ball to left field, and can you believe that the wind blew it all the way over to right? And I was like, no, dude. There we go. Yeah, that was hit that way all the time there, Dave. No, he didn't lose it that badly, and Geffner certainly was at the top of his game when the Marlins decided that. Does that reek a smack of a cost-cutting measure? There, you go with the guy that's already in the organization getting paid by the hour. Throw him a couple of extra shekels, and next thing you know, Geffner, who was a accomplished professional announcer, all of a sudden, he's gone, and the money goes to the mascot. And Mike Vaccaro later on, a good friend of Mike Mayo's, who will be coming your way with the lunchbox, 12 o'clock on South Florida Live, and we're on the road today. And this is going to be great. Have you ever had a sandwich called the Gurggles or, some dish named after you while you were at Shula Steak 2? Did they have like a Dave Gurggles Gergely special?
No.
Mayo, I mean, you would think would have, a number of these distinctions, is about to have a dish named after him at Wicked Cheesesteaks, which Brian, who is a great guy who owns the place with his wife, and they pretty much, are the place. They cooked this up based on the fact that Mayo likes this Philly pork sandwiches. What is that? With the broccoli rabe? You would know.
Pork, broccoli rabe, and then I guess provolone or something is another well-known Philly.
He likes that more than the cheesesteak. Is that
Wow.
a little strange? No, what do you think?
It's interesting to me. I'm a cheesesteak guy all the way, but not with the cheese whiz, with actual cheese. Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, the cheese whiz is a little bit scary. Yeah, when you read the ingredients. It's like, what part of Wuhan's lab system did this come from? and was it a mistake to let it leak out? All right, coming back with more. Hialeah Park. Oh, tell us about Perdomo Cigars before we get going here.
Yeah, why not? I went down to see Nick and the gang this week. They're expecting their second grandchild, another girl. And you can expect the best when you go to Perdomo's, 5150 Northwest 167th Street on the south side, a little east of the Home Depot. So this weekend, if you're going to be out on the boat in your backyard, out at Hialeah Park in the stands, you watch the flamingos fly, or just in your own backyard, get a Perdomo cigar. Get a box of Perdomo cigars. 305-627-6700, the number to call. 5150 Northwest 167th Street, the place to go. And they're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. They are a big family group. They make them perfect, one at a time. Cuban seed tobacco grown in Nick's farm in Nicaragua. And you can get them there Call them, 305-627-6700. Saturday, Sunday, you want one? That's okay. Any tobacconist open will have them. And if you're not sure, you can go online. www.perdomocigars.com is the number to call, is the website to go to find out more about these great cigars. Whether it's Maduro or Connecticut wrapper, Perdomo Cigars makes them perfect one at a time. And we're going to give you, to start off, the Fountain of Youth card, which is a big one.
Nice.
If you get there early enough, this is our Perdomo early bird special.
Nice.
In the first race, 11 o'clock post time. First race, don't sleep through this. Joel Rosario, Defo's answer on the last question, is on a first-time starter at 5 furlongs on the turf. He's been on the dirt, but never on the turf. Number 7, New Bomb. What a perfect name to start off your week. The Perdomo horse of the day, New Bomb, in the first at Gulfstream, but you're always a winner with Perdomo Cigars.
I like the fact you're already 2 days ahead, Gurggles. In your thinking, man. That is fantastic. I mean, I get there, I open up the program, I start betting 5-7 boxes. You already have a preliminary opinion on the Fountain of Youth card, which I think is 14 races? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I spoke to the Paulie man this week, recovering from a little setback.
Yeah.
And of course, after that, he tells me about a horse he liked at Oaklawn on Saturday last week that finished a strong second and was 9-1. And I said, Paulie, why didn't you call me? I had Jimmy Graham on the winner who paid $39.
Oh,
and
no.
the exact,
I knew you were all over
our
that.
two horses paid $268. I had a dollar exacta. Paulie and I, with a $10 exacta, he could have paid some of us back. Who knows?
Well, I don't know. I mean, does he have to visit the gravesite of that certain someone and drop off capital instead of flowers? No?
I hope not.
How does that work?
I wish him nothing but the best.
You never get off the hook.
I don't know.
No, the Polyman's great. Tremendous handicapper. He missed his calling. Yes. I don't know why he didn't stick with that. Whenever we get enough money together from these enterprises here, we will eventually just back Polyman as part of our public stature as a guy in handicapping contests there, because we got to get him into the NHC. All right, coming back with more with Dave Gurggles Gergely, then later on Glenn Geffner on baseball, Mike Vaccaro on the Big Apple, and a variety of different things that are taking place there, including, euphoria over the Yankees and the Mets. And all of a sudden, this resurgent Knicks team that looked like it was dead in the water. The Rangers have been the cardiac kids this year in New York. 17 games they've come back in. This was the Panther team last year. Didn't they have some ridiculous number of games that they won while coming from behind? I think it might have been in the 20s. But the Rangers now are, also the darlings of a lot of hockey fans, thinking that they might be able to make a little move for the Stanley Cup. And then, of course, you got the guy that's slipping in the darkness there, Aaron Rodgers. If you had all that money, Gurggles, would you be going to dark retreats, or would you not be on a yacht somewhere, maybe bumping up next to DiCaprio to see what babes he had left over? What do you think?
I'd be back at my own private villa in the Maldives, just sitting there looking over the Indian Ocean, hopping in the infinity pool, enjoying a Perdomo and a Middleton Irish whiskey. Yeah, I would not be in the dark. No. I've been I've been in the dark a lot of times. But
there's no way I'm going to haul myself up like I was in some Jimmy Stewart movie. Remember that thing he used to play all the time on Rain Out Theater? Carbine Williams was the movie. They put him in this little box for like months at a time, and Jimmy would just sit there and whittle his way into making this shotgun that became revolutionary. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
If you watched a lot of Rain Out Theater, you saw that movie like 100 times. I've seen that more than I've seen Goodfellas. It's unbelievable. Carbine Williams. It was awful, too. It was very, very boring. It's 8:04.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752.
This comes from the great Defo Llama. It's the bets you don't make, the chances you don't take, that can compromise an otherwise incredible life, my friend.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
All right, we have the Mike Mayo Lunchbox, 12 o'clock here on South Florida Live. You won't want to miss that because I believe, I don't know, well, does he go for a record today? Because if you were ever going to just suck down a whole sandwich in one bite, you would have to think it would be the one that was named after you. And I don't believe that's going to be an easy thing to do. Because those are pretty substantial, though, yes. Have you ever been to Wicked Cheesesteaks? I know you like cheesesteaks.
No, I want to make a point to get to. What's the location? You know,
if you're ever up in the neighborhood there of Commercial Boulevard and Federal Highway. So just a little south of Commercial Boulevard, Federal Highway. If you ever go see my skin doctor there, Dr. Elias, just north of there.
Well, I go to the Aruba Beach Cafe, so it's close to there, right?
Okay, yeah. You know what? On your way to Aruba Beach, save yourself about $40 and get yourself a cheesesteak for like 10. And bring it to the beach there. You can be one of those guys that opens up a sandwich on the beach there, and the birds all come around.
Yeah, perfect.
The seagulls in Atlantic City, though, you got to be Ray Donovan to fend them off, don't you? I mean, when you go get a slice of pizza, and they have no shame. I mean, as if it was like some just wild bald eagle swooping in, or a vulture, just and the next thing you know, the whole slice is gone. They're experts at it. Right? No cheese dripping from the chin. Yeah. And there's signs of tanks. Yeah.
They remind me of the guys that gather around the guy from Deal Volkswagen when he's at the racetrack. The seagulls. Yeah.
The sycophants,
exactly.
as they call them. Yeah.
Yeah. That you got it. Yep.
It's always nice, I mean, he couldn't be any more of a generous guy, but wow, those guys literally like. Wow. You see blood, coming from the man. Stuck on him like, I got a leech on my shoulder. Oh, no, it's the leaper. There he is. Unbelievable. All right, let's get back into the game here. And later on, Glenn Geffner and Mike Vaccaro. But we'll be at Wicked Cheesesteaks later on today, 12 o'clock.
This is great, man.
I really enjoy going there. I like the vibe, number one. I mean, the people there are so nice to us, as they are everywhere that we go. But, I mean, and it's always something different. I mean, the guy's got a lot of variety for a place that essentially is called Wicked Cheesesteaks.
Well, and that's the thing is, and we had plenty of time to talk about it, but we were at this place that's not far that does a lobster roll, and I was like, dang, are they competition? Then I realized, wait, Brian and Wicked Cheesesteak do like 12 things. Like they do pizza and wings.
Pizza, man, is great there. Gurggles, we got to get you up there. It's on me next time we go. Because the guy usually picks up our check anyway. So.
Oh, okay.
I'll take a shot with that. Slip the girl at 20, and I'm out of there pretty light. I mean, no matter what we get. All right, let's get back into it. And again, the phone number 954-417. I wrote it down wrong. That was my problem.
0070.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting dyslexic in my old age. Is that a byproduct of old age also, where you start to juxtapose everything? 954-417-0070. One thing that's juxtaposed is my bank account, which now you see these things for retirement. You need like $18 million. I mean, I'm not close, Gurggles, I can assure you. So we're going to do this to our grace. All right, here we go. Back into the game. We do have Lenny with 6. He's our leader. And here's Dave, our next set of questions.
College football. This former Kansas State quarterback, asked why he switched from veterinary medicine to petroleum engineering, said, I don't want to get phone calls at 4 a.m. saying, please come help. My poor Fifi is throwing up, and I don't know what to do. What's that? Doug Bogue, Doug Betters, Doug Favell, or Sherman Douglas?
I'm going to roll a scrambler here, and I believe this man is calling us from parts unknown. Pat, are you on the road somewhere? I heard you were involved in like a movie shoot or something.
Yeah, I'm up in Cocoa right now, but we go up to NASA.
Are you in makeup? I mean, what are you doing?
Have a ball up there. Yes, there were 2 launches around this week. They had to cancel it for today and tomorrow, and we'll be shooting up there on Saturday too.
All right, you milked this into a free vacation. It sounds like the way I used to use that trade that we had at Shula's Steakhouse. Unbelievable. And all right, you have 1 point. You're in the show.
Pat, a little bit of advice. If you get in one of those movies with Alec Baldwin, I would withdraw.
Yeah.
Okay, just keep that in mind.
Especially if he has a holster on. Yeah.
All right, football, Pat, true or false? Believe it or not, former Steeler wide receiver Lynn Swann at one time hosted the game show To Tell the Truth. True or false?
Well, I know that my dad was on that in the 60s.
Oh, yeah?
True.
True.
Yeah.
It is
You
true.
know, if you had said bowling for dollars or something, maybe he had lowered himself to that. But wow, to tell the truth, good one, Lynn Swann. 2 for 2. First true false that was answered correctly. Pat with 2 points.
All right, Pat, let's go back to a Fountain of Youth question. Who was the first horse to win the Fountain of Youth Stakes and then go on to win the Kentucky Derby?
Alcibiades.
What's that? Cowie King, Pensive, Tim Tam, or Offshore Judge?
It wasn't even close.
C?
C.
As in,
C?
I don't want to say it. Yeah.
As in Tim Tam in 1958.
Yeah,
That's
wow.
exactly right. Well done.
You got to be kidding me, man. I thought it was Kawhi King. I would have said that.
Good job.
Under the guidance of the great Bobby Esri.
Kawhi King did it in Kawhi King did it in 66. He was probably the second.
Going for a sweeper, Pat.
All right, Sweeperoni on tap here. ABA for 5 points.
No, close. NBA.
All right.
In the decade of the 1980s, who was the only NBA coach to win the All-Star game as coach on 3 different occasions?
Oh, Jesus.
So he was the coach of the All-Stars, and he won 3 of them in the decades of the 80s. What's that?
Early.
Casey Jones, Pat Riley, Billy Cunningham, or Chuck Daly?
Wow.
Oh, God.
Cunningham. Oh!
Yes!
Oh,
81 and 83. Well done, Pat.
Wow, that Cocoa Air is doing you well.
Thanks, guys.
All right, you'll be in the finals, Pat.
There must be absolutely, no sediment in that air there in Cocoa Beach. No.
Thought I had him on that one. Well done, Pat.
That was impossible, Gurggles. All right, good job by Pat. 10 points. Lenny with 6. It's the type of player you're up against. Maybe that's why new players are reluctant to dial us up at 954-417-0070. We'll get another one in. And then later on, we're going to talk to Glenn Geffner. Always great on baseball. I love talking to Glenn. And Mike Vaccaro, one of our favorites on the program as well, out of the Big Apple there, and the outstanding lead columnist, sports writer of the year out of New York. I believe that encompasses the whole state. So he beat out even those slugs at the Buffalo News, those ink-stained wretches up there. And all the other, the Syracuse Herald Urinal. Is that still being published? Herald Journal?
I don't know. Saratoga, I like the Saratoga newspaper with the pink sheets in, picking the horses for Saratoga.
Is Albany the Beacon? I don't know. What is the Albany newspaper called? I used to know the titles of every newspaper because I was very into making advances in the game, and then I realized hey, there's no money in this. So I moved over to the electronic medium, and then you didn't have to know how to spell or construct sentences. So this was absolutely perfect, in line with my educational background, which was skipping a lot of classes and going to Vernon Downs. All right. We have a sweeper with Pat. He's going to make the finals. Lenny has 6, so you have a chance to knock him off here. Let's get into our final set of questions here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge with the great Dave Gurggles Gergely.
All right, a lot of requests for this. Fishing. This comedian, on her husband's affinity for fishing, said, you remember that old saying, give a man a fish and he has food for a day. Teach a man to fish and you can get rid of this son of a bitch for the whole weekend. What's that? Zena Schaefer, Zena the warrior princess, Princess Margaret, or Princess Telephone?
Oh my
All
God.
right, speaking of telephones, roll the scrambler. See who's on the phone. That's Mike Lubitz up there in the corner box. And it lands on Ron. Ron, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning, fellas. Let's go with A.
A is correct. Sharp players today. Very sharp players.
All right, Ron, football. Let's take you back to the Super Bowl. Even though Patrick Mahomes went to Disney World, believe it or not, his teammate, Juju Schuster, after his Super Bowl, immediately set off for Aruba, where he planned his upcoming wedding to his girlfriend. True or false?
God. No.
Give him a shot there first, Libby.
Sorry, Ron.
There's the gun, and it's all over. True?
What'd you say? True?
True.
True.
Hit it
the
again,
buzzer.
Lobie. He's wrong.
Yeah. Clown sound effects that's under. Yeah.
Attaboy, Lubie.
Right.
You knew it, Lubie. Attaboy. That's good ESPN.
Libby jumped the gun and he, fucked up the entire system. That's great. It's okay, though. I mean, you understand. Polyman used to do the sound effect when it didn't play, remember?
Yeah, he did. He did. Yes.
Because, the guy that was operating the board might have fallen asleep. No, we had very competent people all those years for the most part. Every now and then we get a substitute. Who was that one kid
I love Rudy, but Rudy.
Rudy. Remember that guy? Rudy Gobert, man.
Oh,
Rudy was fun.
wow.
Woo. We're in a break now. A break. Hello.
He'd leave. And
Guy's outside having, a chunk of apple pie that he had just picked up at Wendy's. One of those fried apple pies, man, that you can't talk for like a half hour after because they burnt the roof of your mouth. All right, where are we at? We're at 2 for 2 and going for 5. Yeah, there we go.
he's got one. He's got one.
No, he missed that one. He's got one.
Oh, he
going
missed
for
it.
4.
Okay, 1 going for 4.
Yeah.
That was critical then.
That's okay, Rudy.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Tennis. Which of the following won the most U.S. Open titles, including singles, doubles, and mixed doubles?
All right, tough one.
John McEnroe, Margaret Court, Martina Navratilova, or Bill Tilden?
Wow. What the hell?
Oh boy, let's go McEnroe.
I'm going to go Martina. Tilden?
Margaret Court had 18,
Wow.
not Tilden. Margaret Court at 18.
All right, this is big, Ron. Either tie Lenny for the second spot here and a possibility you'll be in the play-in game for the finals, 9 versus 10 game, or it's sayonara until next week.
All right, golf. This week's tournament is at the Bay Hill Arnold Palmer tournament, which was won by Tiger Woods an amazing 8 times. Who was the only other pro golfer to win the same event on 8 different occasions?
Wow.
Not the Bay Hill, but a single event that he played at 8 times.
Okay.
Ben Hogan, Gene Sarazen, Sam Snead, or Jack Nicklaus?
What about Dow Finsterwald?
I believe that would be Sam Snead. And
Slamming Sammy.
The Greater Greensboro Open, Sam Snead.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, what a game we had today, Gurggles. This was great. So we have the Chronic and Ron each have 6 points. We're going to have a spin-off on that one.
Yeah, I might have to
And,
actually.
I will not say that these are weighted ping pong
I
balls.
might have to do a legitimate spinoff because both these guys are chronics.
Both of these guys are Chronics, and they both deserve a shot.
Yeah, I usually
Pats are automatically locked into the finals. Go ahead and have
We
that
can both
spin-off
out
there.
and put Andy in. There you go. All right.
Yeah, well, we've done that too. I mean, we make up the rules as we go along here. So, all right, go ahead and have the spin-off here, and then we'll have Gurggles give us a little info on Perdomo Cigars here. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, an outstanding game. I mean, it came right down the wire.
Wow, in a first, Lenny is
Lenny, oh my God.
Spinoff. Sorry, Ron, but Lenny has won the spinoff. I'll get Lenny.
You know what? He's like a guy with a bad record in tiebreakers in tennis, right? I mean, he was like 1-19 in spinoffs. This guy. But he won this one, so that's good. Perdomo Cigars, Gurggles. I mean, that picture, I love it when Lubie puts that picture up of you in the Maldives. There it is.
Unbelievable. You don't have to go. You don't have to travel across the world to near Sri Lanka to have a Perdomo cigar. You go right down to Miami Lakes on 57th Avenue, 5150 Northwest 167th Street, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday. Go in there, and the D-man's at the desk there. Go into the humidor, whether it's a lot 23 or a 20th anniversary Connecticut Maduro. They make them perfect one at a time. 305-627-6700, the number to call. See their great menu of selected cigars at perdomocigars.com. Go in there, say hello to Nick Jr., Nick Jr.'s lovely wife, Lauren, expecting a baby girl within the next 4 weeks. Why not go to Perdomo Cigars? If you're not a cigar smoker, that's okay. What a great gift would be a gift card from Perdomo Cigars. So today, tomorrow, when New Bomb wins the first at Gulfstream on Saturday, put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
All right, Mike Mayo says it's the Albany Times Union. Albany Times Union.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yep.
I used to know the name of every newspaper around the country. I guess, it wouldn't be that hard anymore because there's like 6 of them left. But
the Allentown Morning Call. That was my hometown.
Morning Call. So,
Yeah.
I was at, 2 different places during my, print journalism career. The Fontana Herald News, which really was a fish wrap. I mean, it literally was a fish wrap. You would, get your copy and take it straight to the seafood market. Just can I have some of those sand dabs? That was big in California. Sand dabs. And then the Ontario Daily Report, which was fondly known as the Daily Distort. And still to this day, I think had the greatest motto ever for a newspaper. Yesterday's news, tomorrow, is what they were all about. Yeah. And that plane crash from 2 days ago, we got that story worked up yet? Okay. Yeah, who's on the desk? They throw it in there. All right, now we have the finals are set. Lenny the Chronic and Pat, you guys are both very familiar with the rules, but we're obligated to go ahead and at least touch on them, peruse them, and give you a periphery, of what they're all about. Gurggles is going to toss out a question. Call out your name if you want to answer. If nobody answers right away, we offer multiple choice, and the first person to call out his name gets first choice. We go back and forth till we have a winner for the championship of this week's edition, the first edition of March of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Here is Dave Gurggles Gergely. Good luck, gentlemen.
Good luck, guys. We know Lenny is a big baseball fan, Pat, a big boxing fan. So why not? We're going to go with horse racing. All right. This trainer's horses have won 3 of the last 10 runnings of the Fountain of Youth Stakes. So the last 10 since 2013, he's won 3 of them.
Okay.
Was that, or is it Bob Baffert, Bill Mott, Todd Pletcher, or Shug McGahee?
Pat.
Wow.
Yeah, what do you got,
Pat.
B.
Mott. Incorrect. 3 left for Lenny.
Lenny, was it Bob Baffert, Todd Pletcher, or Shug McGahee?
Let's go with Shug.
The Shug Man. Yes, indeed. All right, very good.
Yep, he won in 21 with greatest honor, and 19 with Code of Honor, and 13 with Orb. And Shug McGahee was a great true or false question. We had him as the uncle of Willis McGahee in the NFL draft many years ago. Congratulations, Lenny.
Anything's possible. With seeing Shug last week at the track, I'm thinking he's not related to Willis McGahee.
Does not appear to be, in the bloodline.
Spell it different, I think.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I got to run.
Shug, okay, good job, Gurggles. Good, and best of luck with everything.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2
Okay.
weeks.
All right, because the people get very upset when we don't conduct the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge here. So maybe we'll come up with something. We have a week in advance notice here.
Yes, and I already put a note for next Wednesday to remind you a day before instead of at 9:30 at night.
I can come up with some questions. Yeah, we can do this. Night before, it's a little bit tough there.
It definitely is.
I mean, those 2 guys. One guy, one of my favorite names ever in sports history is Punch Imlach.
That's
a longtime coach in the NHL, Punch Imlach. And the guy in 1920, it's McKinnon, right? Is the stud from Edmonton? McKinnon is not the guy's name. Who's the young kid, man? He's great.
Hockey player. It's not
hockey player. Edmonton Oilers. Yeah.
I can't remember now.
He has like 50 goals already this season. I think he has more than that now because he's scoring like 2-3 goals a night. This cat.
Isn't it Connor? What the hell?
Oh yeah. Connor McDavid. McDavid, not McKinnon.
Connor McDavid. I'm like,
I know it was McSomething. At McDonald's, the coffee's always hot. I tell you what, the French fries have never been more tasty.
Never heard of McGivens.
This getting up a little bit earlier really threw me out of whack today. I hope I can get it together.
He'll be all right.
For these interviews. I mean, I love talking to these guys. I don't want to feel like a fool there and, just be stammering. Connor McDavid. And the guy, one of the guys' names is Punch. It'll be a great trivia question. He had 6 consecutive games. That's the record. He's going for it, in his next game, Connor McDavid. And it goes back to the 1920s. Think about that, Louis. That's exceptional, isn't it? He's going to snap something that hasn't been done since. How many teams were in the league in 1920? Did they always have 6? They had the original 6. I would assume that they had 6 from the very beginning, the NHL. And then I remember when they expanded to 12, everybody was like, "Oh, you're kidding me, man! They're going to ruin the game." Now what do they have? 30, something like that.
Thereabouts, yeah.
Who even knows anymore, right? What do you have? 30 Major League Baseball teams, 30 hockey teams. Is it 30 NBA teams and 32 football teams?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're coming right back. And Hialeah Park, thank you very much for the sponsorship. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, equally a great place, and we'll talk more about that in just a few minutes here. But we're going to get some things together and then bring you Glenn Geffner on baseball, and then after that, Mike Vaccaro out of the Big Apple here, and talk about some of the things that are going on there. Optimism galore. It's oozing off the pages. It's like the New York Post sports section. Optimism, my God, they even think the Knicks have a shot. Back with more in a moment. Now that.
Yeah, it's friggin' annoying.
The time. What are we talking about the Knicks for? I can hear Hank Goldberg blowing up. Right? Ask the caller, hey, Joe, what do you think about the Knicks? The guy goes, I like the Knicks. Well, what are we talking about the Knicks for?
And he brought it up.
They suck. They're never going to amount to anything. They haven't been any good since Willis Reed broke his ankle.
That's great.
Here's your apple pie, sir. Okay. Yeah, how come those things were they were on fire when you would get them, right? At McDonald's, one of those when they first came out with that hot apple pie thing, it wasn't like hot apple pie, it was molten lava apple pie. Right? And you would, bite into it and like, You'd have to call the fire department to douse this thing out. All right, back in a moment. Now that. Jesus. The time. Yes. Double clutching on some stuff today. It's 8:27. Oh, there he is. Wow, on video. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubber's Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Let's hope we're dead wrong about a lot of things. That could be another book that we put out. Let's hope we're dead wrong about a lot of things. The end is near. You can tell the end is near, man. You could definitely do that.
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. Good to have you guys with us. Dave Gurggles Gergely with another very, very difficult Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge there. And congratulations to Lenny the Chronic, our winner. How many gift certificates have you given them to Landlubbers, Louis?
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I can't even keep track. That's why I skew them away.
Yeah. He's like the fat kid when they first came out with fan voting. Not to reference his weight, because we love Lenny, but where you had like 1,000 ballots for the All-Star game that he picked out of the garbage and just put his mother's knitting needle through them all. We welcome to the show. This is great, man. I love that he's doing the video portion of it also. And one of our favorites, and I'm going to miss his calls on the radio. I'm still a radio guy, although I'm more reluctant to turn it on, since we also heard these fatal words, which are an unfortunate byproduct of the business. Lubie, Defo, can you come down and see us right after the show? And they say they're going in another direction. Like, well, we could go there, right? I can change. I'm adaptable. I mean, call me the human Gumby. But this was, in my opinion, obviously as atrocious a move as when they let Tommy Hutt go from the television broadcast for a while. Glenn Geffner, we're going to miss you on the Marlin calls. It was among the lone incentives to tune in to Marlins baseball or your calls to the game. How are you, Glenn? Good to see you, my friend.
Well, that means a lot to hear you say, Deep. I really appreciate it. I've missed you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm enjoying life after baseball, or at least life between gigs and baseball a little bit right now. I'm teaching at Florida Atlantic University, teaching a sports broadcasting class. And I started a little business where I'm doing one-on-one play-by-play coaching for high schoolers and college students, young professionals who are hoping to get into the business. You can go to my website, glenngeffner.com, and learn more. But it's been incredibly rewarding. I've always, over the years, really loved the mentoring part. I've gotten into teaching at FAU in recent years. Now to do this, be able to reach people all across the country, it's been a blast.
You'd be a good guy to do this because, I mean, one thing you pick up from a guy right away on a broadcast is whether or not he's sincere. And, from our many conversations when we were allowed to speak to you before, a certain other edict came down, all of a sudden you were off limits, man. And we missed our baseball conversations. Yeah.
Yeah, we should have known that was the beginning of the end a couple of years ago when all of my appearances on our flagship radio station had to be approved, and we couldn't get approval for that.
Never, yeah.
Maybe in retrospect, yeah.
3 a.m, we want to talk to Glenn Geffner. Oh, no, we can't have him get up at that hour in the morning.
Glenn's happy to do it on opening day or whatever. Yeah, I can't do it. Sorry.
No, it was always great, and you always inspired us and made us, feel. I mean, it was kind of like we were talking about that Ken Burns documentary. Every time you came on, we thought, wow, we got to get, really more into baseball and a deeper appreciation for it. Where do you think the game is at right now? I mean, they're sort of at a little bit of a crossroads. There are a lot of different issues. I don't know about the bigger bases. I'm not sure what that's going to do. If you're going to expedite the game and have it take place in a little less time, I don't think that's a big problem. If games are taking 3-4 hours, Yankees, Red Sox, you might be there overnight watching a ball game at Fenway and hanging from the Citgo sign by the time it was done. What do you think about these changes that have taken place in Major League Baseball?
I go into this season with an open mind, and I think the game is going to look more different this year than it has at any point in a long, long time, from last year to this year with all the changes they're implementing. But let's look at why they felt they needed to implement the changes. And as you alluded to, the product on the field in recent years, last 5 years, last 10 years, maybe even going back 15, 20 years, hasn't been what it once was. It hasn't been the game that we all fell in love with growing up and couldn't wait to watch on a nightly basis. And so the changes that have been made, they talk about time of game, which is important, but really pace of play more than time of game to me is important. People want action.
Yeah.
And walks and strikeouts just bog the game down. They bog a broadcast down. They don't make it fun to watch or listen to or to go out to a ballpark. So I think the changes they've implemented, you're going to see more stolen bases. People like stolen bases. With the shift rules being you're not entirely eliminating shifts. You're still going to see infielders swung around way up the middle. They just have to have 2 on each side of second base. You're still going to see a second baseman right next to second base for a left-handed pull hitter, and a shortstop right next to second base for a right-handed pull hitter. You might see an extra infielder coming in from the outfield at times even, because they got to be on the infield dirt. Game's going to look different. But I think what you're going to see is the pace of play is going to be better. The ball is going to be in play more, which gives you a chance to see triples, which fans love, which gives you a chance to see great defense, which we haven't seen as much of in recent years because of the defensive positioning. Because they've been so spot on with the shifts, you haven't seen shortstops and second basemen having to range a long way to the left or right to make plays. So I think it's going to be a more entertaining game this year. I really do.
Well, and we've said this, it's one of my thoughts. You see such amazing defensive plays in Major League Baseball. It's a shame you don't get a chance to see more of them.
Yeah, yeah, you used
And
to.
when they're so few and far between because no balls are in play. When I was growing up as a baseball fan and then, selling souvenirs at Shea, we always hated it, these quick games, because we didn't have enough time to unload, the latest edition of the yearbook and the other
You know,
souvenirs. Go ahead.
let me add one thing to that
Yeah.
on defense. Your first thought is about infield defense.
Yeah.
But what we've seen in recent years is outfielders throughout baseball are playing deeper than ever. And the idea is let's cut
Right.
off doubles and triples. And because of that, you're not seeing as many great plays in the outfield, even not as many
Right.
balls for the gap for doubles and triples. There's even been talk, and this wasn't implemented, but there has been talk at the highest levels of baseball about restricting how deep outfielders can play. Almost, like literally putting a line in the outfield that you can only be
That's weird.
300 feet or
Yeah.
250 feet away from the plate. So you're going to have outfielders going back maybe to make more great plays behind them. You're going to see more doubles and triples, all stuff that makes the game more exciting.
See, but that's where I have a problem. I mean, and we talked with Tommy Hutton a little bit about this. He was also in favor of eliminating the shift, but I'm thinking you can't legislate, defense. If it's up to the hitter then to take advantage of the fact that these defenses are aligning in such outrageously biased positions. And to tell outfielders they can't play deep. I don't know. I mean, that seems like it's contrary to what the game is all
And
about.
that's been discussed. Obviously, hasn't been implemented, and I'm sure
Yeah.
it's because a lot of people agree with you on that, Defo. But it
Or even
shows
with
me
the
that
infield, one side or the other. I mean, if the guy
yeah.
can't hit it to the left side, well, why should I stand over there? I mean, it doesn't make
I don't
sense.
like penalizing teams for doing their homework and being
Yeah,
smart
yeah.
and knowing
Yeah.
where this guy hits the ball the majority of the time. I agree with you on that. I've always felt like I'm good for rule changes that can improve the game, but let's not change the way the game is managed. Let's not change. I don't like the 3-batter minimum, for example. If you
Yeah.
want to go lefty, righty, lefty, every other hitter, you should be able to do that and take the risk that's associated with that.
Right.
So I agree with you in not wanting to legislate being smart out of the game,
Right.
but that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, and I was going to say, I mean, I would go to Shea to work a game, and it would be like Bob Gibson against Seaver, and one guy would strike out 19, and you would say, "Man, that is really something. I witnessed something great tonight." But it wasn't happening every night to both teams,
Exactly.
so it was unusual. I mean, it had to be tough calling all of these strikeouts, and especially we were sympathizing with your plight. I mean, the way you brilliantly brought a vibe to those Marlins broadcasts when there was zero crowd noise for the home games. Having called a bunch of Hurricane games in some very cold weather when I was at Darklight Stadium there, or Marklight Stadium, now named for A-Rod, and there would be like only 4 people there because it was freezing out. And they were the guys that came to every game, and just the entire game, all they did when the opposite pitcher was on the mound was go, "Rag arm, rag arm," and that's all you heard as the supporting
noise.
ambient sound. It couldn't be easy to generate enthusiasm. Like a guy would hit a home run, and you'd hear the ball rattling around in the seats. You had to pretty much do everything yourself there. Did you think about bringing some fake crowd noise in? I mean, did you ever think about piping that in?
No, that was never discussed. But it is a challenge. You're right about that, Defo. And I always talked about kind of looking for the small victories along the way. And let's watch a young player hopefully get better over the course of a season, better in May than he was in April, better in August than he was in May. Let's look at a team that plays better in the second half than the first half, and on a daily basis. Why does this game tonight matter? Can we put a dent in the Mets' playoff plans with a victory here tonight? Hey, we've got Sandy going tomorrow night, whatever it may be. There are always things to try to look forward to.
Yeah.
But in general, you're right. It's not like going to the ballpark as the voice of the New York Yankees where you expect to win every single night.
It is fine. Unfortunately, the last part gets drowned out when the ball is caught, like by the shortstop,
Right.
outside the infield grass. Lubie's got something for you, Glenn, and great having you on the show. By the way, it's always a pleasure, my friend.
Well, Glenn, and we've talked with you for years until recently. We always talked to you at the beginning of the season, and you always, it's much like Eric Reed and Tommy, loaded us with positivity about the Marlins, even when we were never uber negative, but honest about some of the things they had done. You said, look, we'll see what happens, but they're trying to turn things around. We've seen that those things didn't get turned around. They turned around the pitching staff, and then the lineup went to garbage. So where are the Marlins now? And you are always pretty honest. I don't think that would change whether you work with or not with them. But where are they now? Because they've tried to bolster the lineup and the last couple of years, and the young arms all seem to get hurt. Where are you with the Marlins coming into this year? As the over-under we always talk about, last year they win 69 games, yet it's about 75. So expectations are a little bit up around baseball. Where are you with the Marlins this season?
I'm realistic. I think it is the right place to start. And you just look at the division they're in. The Mets are as good, if not better, than the team that won 101 games last year. The Braves are as good, if not better, than the team that won 101 games last year. Those two teams finished 32 games ahead of the Marlins a season ago. The Phillies finished 18 games ahead of the Marlins, and they're clearly better than they were last season. So you start with that and say, barring a lot of things going unbelievably right for the Marlins and barring a lot of things going unbelievably wrong for at least one of those teams, this is a fourth place team. And that's just being realistic going into this season. Can it be better than last year? No question. You've got a legitimate number one ace in Sandy Alcantara. We saw Jesus Luzardo make great strides over the course of last season. You think about what he could do if he can stay healthy and give you a full year. Edward Cabrera gave you things to be excited about. Can Trevor Rogers bounce back? You hope that he can do that. They added the veteran Johnny Cueto, though I'd rather see some of the young guys get a shot, quite honestly. The question is, can they score any runs? And when you talk about the optimism in the past, and look, they're building something. This is now year 6 for this ownership.
Yeah. I mean, 5-year plan.
Going into 6 years since Stanton and Ozuna and Yelich were traded away, and 5 years since Real Muto was traded away. So it's not like they're just getting this thing started. It's not like wait till we start drafting our guys and get them to the big leagues because they've done that.
Yeah.
So they got to score more runs. They got to keep Jazz Chisholm on the field. If Jazz can stay healthy, and if you can really put it all together, for me, Jazz is a guy with unbelievable potential, unbelievable raw talent, but he still really hasn't done it fully at the big league level. There's a lot of sizzle there, no doubt, and people love him, and they love the chains, they love the swag, they love the attitude, but he hasn't put a full season together in the big leagues yet. Can he do that this year? If he can, great for the Marlins. Can Soler and Avi Garcia be the guys they have been at times in their careers in the past? They were both flops last year. Can they both boost this up? Look, if both those guys have really good years, both those guys hit 30 home runs, if Jazz has a full season, goes 40-40, this lineup, you brought in some guys who aren't going to strike out, going to get on base, make some things happen. This lineup could be better if a lot of things go well. Even in that scenario, though, is there anyone anywhere who realistically thinks this team can compete with the Braves, the Mets, and the Phillies? And that's just in your division before you get to the Cardinals and the Padres and the Dodgers in the National League. Yeah. So you got to be realistic. You got to be realistic. And to me, they need to transform this offense. They need to do it by bringing in – they got to spend money on some legitimate, proven bats, not guys who've been pretty good every other year, not somebody who hit 40 home runs 5 years ago. You need to bring in run producers.
Yeah.
You need to bring in guys who are going to hit doubles and home runs and who can put 3 runs on the board with one swing of the bat, because there's nothing worse than Sandy going out there and pitching a gem and losing 2-1. And how many times have we seen that over the years? This team was historic in losing 1-run games last year after having lost a ton of 1-run games the year before. And you say, if the offense is just a little bit better, you flip those games and you have a chance to be more competitive. But I don't think, quite honestly, they've done enough to improve the offense.
Tommy Hunt was saying yesterday, we had him on the show, it was like 41-run games.
Yeah.
And, that
which literally goes back 40, 50 years.
Yeah. That was
Probably
unbelievable. Yeah, to 1975. That was the last time. So obviously in the mix, but unfortunately not with the goods to close these games out. Don Mattingly leaves. Schumacher comes in. And one more thing. I mean, we thought. I mean, we were screaming for years. We got to get rid of Laria. We got to get rid of Sampson. They're evil. All right, and perhaps they were. I mean, still one of the most shrewd business deals ever was this Ponzi scheme they ran, where they put in like some Canadian guy's money, and he was down screaming at Gulfstream Park, "I want my money back!" as they were in court winning, and they ended up with the franchise that they sold for like over $1 billion. I mean, not that many years down the road to justify this kind of gargantuan profit they made on their investment, if there even was an investment. So we're screaming for years, Glenn, about, hey, we got to get rid of these guys. And then Jeter comes in, and we're thinking, oh, great, man, a guy that's all about winning. That era fell flat, and so. I mean, is there something inherently wrong, at the very top of the organization that's going to always inhibit any chance they have? I mean, we haven't heard that from Bruce Sherman. That I am going to spend some money and get a guy in here that can pop 40 of them out of the park this year.
Right. And they'll tell you, look, we're spending more money this year than we have in the past. And that's true. But have
Yeah.
they spent nearly enough to be competitive with the teams at the top of the division, let alone of the league and of Major League Baseball? And the answer is clearly no from where you start. This team's better than it was last year, but you don't operate in a vacuum because other teams are better too. And you started at such a disadvantage. So even though you're going to be better, what does that mean? To me, a lot of things would have to go right for this to be a 500 team even this year.
Oh, wow.
They won 69 games last year. Can you win 70, 75? Yeah, I think that's realistic, but a lot has to go right. Now, one thing they have going for them, and this is a key point with the new balanced schedule this year, instead of playing the top three dogs in the division 19 times each, you play them 13 times each. So it's 18 fewer games against the Mets, the Braves, and the Phillies. Now you're playing some other good teams out there you wouldn't have played otherwise. You're playing the Astros, you're playing the Yankees, you're playing the Blue Jays, good teams in the American League you wouldn't have played. But it's tough. And, I really feel as though Bruce Sherman came in here with all the best of intentions. In my very limited interactions with him, he seems like a really good guy who wants to win. But I think when you're a first-time owner, you need to surround yourself at the highest levels of your organization with very experienced people on the baseball side and on the business side. And they had some of those in place when they came in. They ran them out. They brought in a lot of people who, frankly, have never worked in baseball before, who have never worked at the level they're working at. And I'm not just talking about Kim Ng being a first-time general manager. And look, she's got a great resume in the game. There's no question about that. But you look on the business side, people who haven't worked in baseball or at senior levels before making decisions in marketing and sales and PR, things like that. I think Bruce Sherman needs some better advice around him. And to his credit, let's point this out. He brought Jeff Conine in, Jeff Conine back to be his special assistant. And I'm going to tell you exactly why he did that, because he's spoken about this to some people. He understood what he didn't know on the baseball side. He knew he could sit down with his general manager and have her or her lieutenants tell him things, and he wasn't entirely sure what they were talking about. To his credit, he said, I need somebody to be my baseball whisperer to me, to tell me what I need to know and what I should be thinking about some of this stuff. So kudos to him for bringing Jeff Conine, Mr. Marlin, back. Now, he had Jeff Conine and Jack McKeon and Andre Dawson and Tony Perez. They ran those guys out initially. But he needs people like that on the business side as well. Sales, marketing, public relations, because they're really struggling.
It's a rough go. Glenn, we love you, man. Hey, we'll have to do this throughout the season. I hope you're, amenable to a few more appearances here on the show. It was great having you on, my friend.
Would love to. I always love talking with you guys because you talk about me loving baseball, being a baseball guy. I know you guys, unlike many in this market, love baseball. You got a long history with this sport, and I love talking with you.
You're a great American. Glenn Geffner, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Glenn Geffner with us here on the show. All right, Mike Vaccaro, the New York Post, is going to be joining us here in just a few moments. That was great having Glenn on the video there. I hadn't seen him for a while. I mean, we used to go out there and do those opening day shows where they would promise us they were going to bring us Don Mattingly and the owner of the team and, any number of other people. And then we were sitting there for 4 hours talking to Rick Sanchez, who was doing a show on another station.
Exactly.
And, they weren't necessarily the most cooperative when it came to public relations. And it seemed like it was more out of shame than it was out of
it was weird.
No, they were proud of what they were doing. That was the other part of it. That was very, very strange. All right, this guy deals with all kinds of strange stuff in New York City. I mean, covering sports in the Big Apple is a whole different beast, as they say. And pleasure to welcome from the New York Post, which is my favorite publication other than the Daily Racing Form, the great, and now the #1 sports writer again in New York. He's going to that town in, North Carolina, where they honored Leslie Visser 1 year. I got to go.
Man. Yeah.
How many of you have you taken down, Mike Vaccaro? How many times have you been the Sports Writer of the Year out of New York, which is quite a distinction?
I have won four times.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
4. Wow. That's outstanding. I mean, there's a lot of competition there. What does Lupica think about that? Or do you think the whole thing is
He's not available for comment.
Mike Mayo of the Sun Sentinel, formerly the Sun Sentinel, says hello, by the way.
He's a man. Good man, great writer.
Yeah, he was excellent. And we have to say, and I constantly lauding praise on the Post sports section, because it's one of I don't even know if there are more than a handful remaining anymore that actually have some content in them. Now, everything in New York seems to be coming up roses right now. Is that good or bad for business? I mean, because you have tremendous optimism naturally around the Yankees, as there is every year. Mets, I mean, they're all in with Steve Cohen. The Rangers have been, under our man Gerard Gallant, who was unceremoniously kicked off the team bus when he was fired as the coach of the. They left him in like a snowdrift in Saskatchewan, Mike. Such indignity, and now he's got the cardiac kids there with all these comebacks they're making. The Rangers are now in Stanley Cup conversations from some hockey people. The Knicks, I mean, they reestablished themselves and are on a run. Everything's going great. The Jets may even have a quarterback next year. What do you think? Does that make it easier or tougher?
I mean, you actually mean that literally, because you don't know if the Jets will actually have any quarterback by the time next year. Everyone's waiting on Aaron Rodgers to make it
Yeah.
and get out of the darkness. It really is. I mean, after as you know, as we're easy and happy to tell everybody, it's been a long time since we won a championship around here. Over 10 years now that the 10-year anniversary of the Giants' last Super Bowl has passed, and it's been pretty dark. I mean, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. I'm not sure exactly the year when we had the worst year in New York sports history in terms of just about every team was a losing team or non-competitive, certainly not in contention. And now both baseball teams, like you said, have real optimism this spring that it could be their year. And the Rangers just added Patrick Kane, which is terrific, and they already had a lot of good mojo going, and that probably should only put things more in the right direction. And yeah, I mean, I was at the Garden last night with the Knicks, and it's a fun place again. I mean, it really is. It's not just they always sell a lot of tickets at the Garden, but a lot of times the last 20 years it was tourists and people just we kind of stopped in to get warm, and now it's real Knicks fans again, and it remains the most fun building in New York to go to a big game at, because it gets so loud and the people are so engaged and they really care so much. And it's a good time to be in New York. It's a good time to write about sports in New York. And there have been years in the past couple of years when you wake up and you say, "Oh my God, who am I going to rip today?" And now it's like,
well, there's always the Brooklyn Nets, yeah.
Well, but even they're likable now. I mean, they don't win anymore, so I guess they can rip for not being any good. But
yeah,
they got a bunch of likable players who it's impossible not to want any. I mean, how in the world do you root against Spencer Dinwiddie? I mean, how do you root against Joe Harris? I mean, these Nick Claxton, these are good guys. I mean, I don't want to cast the old cast of Nets as as a series of antichrists, but I mean, it was a lot different vibe around here then, trust me. And so now it's like even the Nets in the field, they're like the mascots in town now. And we'll see what happens. I mean, I still think that I think it's pretty clear the very best they could do is win a first round series in the playoffs. But even that would be an enormous step forward. I mean, they've done that one time since 2000. Think about that. And if they did that, all of a sudden, I think the fact that Jalen Brunson is here makes the Knicks a destination team, which is pretty remarkable.
All right, let's take up what will be a hot topic for a while here. And you mentioned he was slipping into darkness and slipped out of it now. Aaron Rodgers. There was such a schmooze going. I mean, from the vibe that I got from reading the stories about Derek Carr's visit to the Jets, you would have thought that they had found their second coming of Joe Willie there, and were ready to sign him and anoint him to the Hall of Fame right away. Under special considerations that he would be a Hall of Famer while playing in New York. And then, all of this tease about Aaron Rodgers. What do you think is their best option there? What do you see ultimately happening? Because, and then, further, is Zach Wilson, will he be on one of your Sunday columns when you explore the biggest bust in Jet draft history?
Right now, I think he's already in the semifinals. Look, I mean, I think there's a question between what the Jets are going to do and what they should do. I mean, I think they feel they owe it to themselves and their fans to at least see where they are in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. I mean, Aaron Rodgers comes available. I mean, it's certainly something they have to at least make the effort of finding out. to me, it's no question the better option for them is Derek Carr. I mean, for one thing, it's only going to cost them money. It's not going to cost them assets. For another, he's younger. For another, he brings substantially less drama with him. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback. There's no question about it. You know, he also brings a reality show with him wherever he goes. And you know, A, you want that on your team, and B, how will that play in New York? I mean, it's one thing to act weird in Green Bay, another thing to act weird in New York. And I'm not saying it's easier or harder. Who knows? Because got a lot of weirdos in New York. But you know, but I just think Carr's. I mean, the Knicks, the Jets don't need a hero. They don't need somebody to come up and resurrect the team. The Jets are as they probably will be coming back next year. They're a quarterback away from being a very good team. I mean, they were a quarterback away from being a very good team last year out of nowhere. They won 4 games the year before. Last year, if they had anything resembling, you know, competent quarterback play for 17 weeks, they would have won 10, 11, 12 games. They would have. That's how deplorable the quarterback play was. Because everything else is in place. They have a terrific running game, and they have a borderline elite defense. And they just couldn't get out of their own way. I mean, they were 7-4. Look, I mean, I think when people talk about Rodgers, the one thing they get carried away is, well, we don't want another Brett Favre. Well, you know what? What was wrong with Brett Favre here exactly? They were 8-3, and then he got hurt. You know, when he was healthy, he was really good here. So I have no doubt that, you know, Aaron Rodgers would be good here. I don't think he's done. But I also know that it will cost him a lot of draft capital and a lot of future assets. And, you know, for a 39-year-old quarterback, I mean, you know, if he wins you a Super Bowl, you don't care. But I just think on a lot of levels that Derek Carr makes a lot more sense. But I also understand that as long that until you at least want to gauge where Rodgers' head is at. And it doesn't seem like anybody knows, including Aaron Rodgers right now.
What I find more interesting, because I think the Jets will figure it out. Our buddy Andy's joking that they'll have Emmis and Boozer back there. Snaps. I think they have enough talent, and we've seen in the NFL, if you really have that much talent and you just get a guy that's not a disaster, you'll be okay. The Giants are the one that's interesting to me because they're better than they were supposed to be, but they're not as good as I think people think they are. And Daniel Jones was vastly improved, but we've seen in the NFL, when you think a guy, again, is better than he is, and you give him that $40 million or $35 million deal a year, you now don't have money for other things. So he needs to carry you. And if he's not a Rodgers, if he's not one of these guys that can, you're sort of screwed. And I think the Giants are in a really weird spot because it feels like they're going to pay Daniel Jones a big deal. And I still don't know if he's that kind of quarterback.
Well, I mean, first off, before we get to the Giants, I think you've touched upon a great marketing slogan for the Jets. You know, Jets, we're not as bad as you think. I think that sums it up well. No, I get what you're saying about Daniel Jones, but here's the thing. I mean, there's 32 NFL quarterbacks?
Yeah.
And how many are good? 15, maybe 16?
Yeah.
And I think Daniel Jones is in that category. I mean, you know, you realize when you watch. I mean, think of it is when you watch bad football, as often as we've watched it in New York, and you know, you guys have watched some pretty bad football over the years in Miami the last 20 years. You know, and you don't have good quarterbacking. You realize when you watch other games at 4 o'clock or on Monday night or in the playoffs, just what good quarterbacking means. I mean, the disparity is remarkable. And so, look, am I going to tell you that Daniel Jones is the second coming of Patrick Mahomes? I'm not. I mean, he does have similar skill sets to, say, Josh Allen, and he's playing with Josh Allen's old coach, and he really seemed to meld with Brian Dable this year, and that makes it intriguing, and that tells me that he's probably an upper echelon quarterback. And the reality of life in the NFL is that an upper echelon quarterback is going to cost you. Yeah. What I think this is telling you is that they're probably not going to be able to keep both him and Barkley.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I suppose they could sign Daniel Jones long term and then franchise Barkley, but you know, you're going to make him unhappy, and B, you're just kind of hamstringing yourself for what you can do. And you're right. I mean, the thing about the Giants, they had a great year this year, and they absolutely overperformed, overachieved. And the problem with that is that it makes you think, well, wow, are they a 9, 10, 11 win team? Well, I mean, they were this year because they had an incredibly helpful schedule. They won some games they probably shouldn't have won against teams like Tennessee and Baltimore. And they kind of hung on with all their fingernails at the end to make the playoffs. And then they won a playoff round, so give them credit for that. But, I mean, when I look at them, do I think they're as good as what they did this year? I don't, not on paper. And they have to get better. fact is they have to get better players. They have to get a lot of better players. And they have the salary cap resources to do that. But if, like you said, if you're going to allocate that also one or two players, it kind of reduces what you're able to do.
Final thing, Mike Vaccaro, I always appreciate your time. It's always great talking to you, and love your columns in the New York Post. I got a little desperate. I must have had a new delivery person, and I wasn't getting the post. And, when you call that boiler room in the Philippines to complain about it, they tell you you're optional, for redelivery that day, but they never redeliver the thing. So I was lost. Lubie will tell you I was completely lost without my New York Post. I can't function. I can't have a bodily function without it. And I always love it when you have something going in there. But so in your opinion, who is actually going to have the better season? I don't know if, you can gauge this just yet. The Mets or the Yankees? Will one of those two teams walk away with a championship this year?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick one or the other, I'd say the Yankees. Look, I think they're both they're both in incredibly strong and deep divisions.
Yeah.
So where I think that'll hurt both teams is that they may wind up either having to settle for the wild card, which of course is exactly a wild card now, as the Mets showed last year, or not have home field. You want it. I mean, look. I mean, the analyst is a bear. I mean, the Braves are terrific and aren't going to get any worse. And the Phillies only went to the World Series last year. So I mean, those are there's your two big rivals in that division. And the American League East is even stronger. I mean, so what the Orioles did last year. Projected last place now I think is the Red Sox with about 77 wins, and still the Red Sox. So you figure that weird things can happen there too. So I mean, that's going to make the regular season. Now, I think the fact they play fewer games against their division this year because of the new schedule is probably a help. It's going to be aggravating for purists who, aren't going to see 19 games now against the divisions. But, the fact that you're playing fewer games against better teams, frankly, is going to help both teams. So I still think right now you're looking at the Yankees because I think they have a better path to winning the division and maybe getting a first-round playoff bye, to avoid that play-in game, which you really want to do. For the playing series rather, and so to me that's what I'm looking at right now.
You're also looking at your schedule. I would think. I don't know if you're here, but should you not be covering some spring training? I saw a little brush of snow there in New York City finally, and I have to tell you, we're basking in glorious sunshine here in South Florida, doing a little Grapefruit League coverage.
Yeah, I'm hopeful to get there before too long because yes, I have noticed the disparity in the weather forecast. Yes, not lost.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't be any more of a utopia down here right now. So, and these teams are obviously, getting ready under just glorious conditions. Mike, always a pleasure, my friend. Congratulations, New York Sports Writer of the Year. That's the whole state, right? That includes the Buffalo Picayune and all of the other stuff there.
Oneonta, Utica, and then myself. Yeah,
Ithaca Times, Herald Journal out there. Do they still publish that in Syracuse? I would imagine so. Supported by Newhouse. But you eclipsed them all again, and rightfully so. So thanks so much for being with us. It's quite a distinction, and we appreciate you coming on our show.
I appreciate you guys having me. Take care.
All right. Thanks a lot. Mike Vaccaro, ladies and gentlemen. Mayo would have, if he was working for the New York Post, he would have already worked his way down to Florida, no?
Oh, yeah. Mayo.
Yeah.
Mayo's good at, angling.
He's very good like that.
Wimbledon 6 times. I'm like, the Sentinel was sending you to, and I understand back in the day the newspaper was a big deal, and Sentinel was a big deal, but still, Wimbledon, down here,
Wimbledon, yeah,
Wimbledon. You went 6 times. How did you get the?
I know they had some travel budget with that newspaper, right? That was a 12-inch column there that was going to be cut down to 6 because they ran out of space because they had to publish so much other stuff. Unbelievable. No, they had space back then. So, somebody put up that the Sun Sentinel's down to 2 sections now. 2 sections. That's it.
Dang,
the Ontario Daily Report had more sections than that. And they only had a 30,000 circulation.
Well, because everyone does everything online and they offer a really good online product.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's sort of stupid to put the money, even if people were buying it, it must not be cost effective. The amount of money it is to put out a paper when people aren't buying it and they're going
crazy, yeah.
to online. Why not?
Man, this thing is $3 a copy now. $3. I remember when it was 10 cents. That was great. You remember that too, Defo? Yeah, I do. All right, we have to run. We're going to try and connect with Brandon Lang for our podcast today on Believe.
I've not heard
that new thing.
So it may
Oh, you
not
haven't? Okay. And we have the Defo and 5 thing now that we did. I'm not sure how that came out this morning. I thought yesterday's was good.
I thought
But,
today's was good. I don't see it up yet, which is not my dream. So I'm going to talk
okay.
with Ethan Skolnick today and see what
Because we could have slept in.
wake up early. To have it not be up makes zero sense. So I'm going to talk to him because I don't mind doing it.
Maybe they scrubbed it. Maybe they said, "Hey, this is just some
No,
idle
it's
rambling."
not a bad thing. It's
Oh, it was pretty good. I thought it was all right. It had some elements to it that were
I
okay.
think it's perfect. Sarni actually is exactly describing it. It's perfectly. It's Defo on a shot clock. And I think
There you go, man.
Interesting to see.
No, I'm going to get it down. I have to work on it a little bit. No, I do. I understand what I have to do, but when I was in a fog this morning when we did this thing, but
it's early.
You get used to everything. You get used to certain patterns and systems and timing elements and things like that. So I was very optimistic when I was considering satisfying myself in a shower. I thought, you know what, this is exactly what I've always wanted. I mean, if I can make this work, it's perfect. 15 minutes a day. Cover a lot of ground. I didn't get a chance. I'm rambling too much on one topic. There is the problem.
Yes, you're used to doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious.
So I have to hone my game a little bit on this, and I will do it though.
I know
it's not
that.
that we're incapable. Just we're trying to get this thing off the mat, and then you're also trying to figure out what is it that's going to appeal to these people.
Yes.
That are the 22,000 or so subscribers that Scoop has on this thing are mostly young people that love the Miami Heat. Now he's trying to branch out. This is part of the purpose of this. So you want to do some of that, even at the risk of alienating people right away. But I figure, you have to find a balance there because before people will allow you to kind of extrapolate and expand your horizons.
Stop rambling. Good luck.
Exactly. You have to find something appealing about what you do to begin with, which is why we went with that whole thing about the Miami Heat yesterday.
Today, look, I like what you've done is you've thrown in enough heat that they're getting a taste.
I'm throwing some heat in there. Always a reference to the Heat, just to keep these guys alive there. And that way you can promote it as if it was about the Heat, even though it has nothing to do with the Heat. The entire
which they love.
All right, 12 minutes. I mentioned them once, and I was talking about the heat that I put under my cup of coffee in the morning because we were now getting up so that you could enjoy this program while you were having your coffee. Are we way off on that whole concept of morning drive? That morning drive doesn't exist anymore?
We are, but we have a trickling.
It's still an important thing in broadcasting, is it not?
We have a trickling of people that watch us live in the morning, and out of respect for them, that's where this started. And I sort of feel bad, like recording it the night before, or giving them nothing in the morning and recording it at 1. Like people are like, well, it doesn't matter when you do it. I'm like, yeah, but people watch in the morning and throughout the day. If we do it later in the day, then in the morning
and you lose that whole thing. Yeah.
Like, I don't know what our numbers are. It's not like it's great numbers, but we do have a following, and I feel sort of indebted to them. So that's why we do it.
We're very dedicated. I mean, we may not be very talented, but we're dedicated. That's for sure.
I appreciate the people that have followed us all these years and are still slowly.
No, great people. I mean, it's been, it really is a pleasurable part of the business there. I mean, obviously, if you're in some form of entertainment, you don't mind having people enjoy what you do. It kind of sucks when they hate you, right? It has to, but I mean, those guys usually thrive, right? Where the people that actually, are somewhat sensitive about, hey, I would like this to be good. They have the biggest problems. They're the ones with the mental breakdowns. They're the ones that are walking out the door with security there, while the other guy, some little weasel rat that was at the radio station that always reported back to management, is going, I told you should talk more statistics. All right, well, we'll leave you with that. A lot of fun being with you. Mike Mayo is going to be on the road today, and we'll be joining him because I wouldn't miss an appearance at Wicked Cheesesteaks under any circumstances.
It's interesting. You like coming to all of them. I give you that. But the two that you go to all the time are the ones that have a cheesesteak and a track.
Well, and even keel, and the track. I mean, I feel, a major obligation there because I love being at the track.
I just find it. You're right. Even kill you. The one that has the beach and the view.
Those two are. It's just proximity. Like for me, if I had schlepped down there to that Willie T's place, I mean, you had a bunch of guests on the show. It wouldn't have made any sense for me to drive all the way down there to be like part of one segment when I could have done that from the house, but you didn't even need me from that. Yeah.
There's no reason for the Vizolarios. It's not because you don't like it, but because it's just.
And Nikki's on the show. She's great. I mean, I'm more than happy to capitulate.
You like shenanigans. You like all
delegate to her.
you appreciate all the places. And yes, it is proximity, but it also is interesting that the one with the beach, the one with Philly cheesesteaks, and the one
No,
with
this place is great, man. I love this wicked cheesesteaks, man.
I just find it funny.
Brian never ceases to amaze me, man, with the flavors that he's able to bring out in a sandwich that you normally would consider to be, fairly consistently the same. No, I guess every place has their own interpretation of the Philly cheesesteak. That's why there's so many different places in Philadelphia, and the two that are most popular are generally deemed to be horse manure compared to any other place that you go to.
Just funny.
Which I think the one I went to was Jim's, and it had been like blown out by a fire, but I'm not sure. I went to a place on a recommendation of a guy from Philadelphia that I know here, and he said, you have to go to this place. I said, never mind Gino's and Pat's, and I've heard that a zillion times over the years. And so I went to the place that he mentioned, and I want to say it was Jim's, but I can't swear by that. But it was, those guys were set up. It was unbelievable what they were doing. And the stuff was very good, although I ate it in the car while driving at night back to Atlantic City, thinking a somewhat intoxicated Mustang who had been drinking all day.
I like, they do all these shows where they're singing in the car. They're doing interviews. Yeah. I actually just want to see you driving and eating.
I could do a good thing with that, man. I mean, maybe when we expand Mike Mayo's food channel, and have like a separate channel for all of the shows, because you could come up with 1 million shows for that thing.
What can you do today?
Eating while driving would be a good thing. I don't think that's been done. Don't give this idea to Portnoy now. He'll take it. And have you noticed any number of other copycat one bite pizza guys now?
100%
showing up online.
Yep.
I think Portnoy has kind of lost his impact. He's become too nice of a guy, right? He's giving everybody like he threw one in the street, I think.
Well, he also has an app, and that's the problem with he made it like a business, so you can only be so mean to restaurants if you want to pay you to be on your app.
Right. Plus, he sold out to some, tomato sauce distributorship for like $2 billion. And so, when he comes back, hey, you know what? They're using the right sauce here. Right, here it is. Is a My Pillow guy running for president? Did I see that on CNN the other day? Is he running for president?
I love the Republicans have like 40 people already.
DeSantis is going to be the man. There's no question about it. And I mentioned online that his is the book that should be banned, and I got annihilated by some right wing politicians.
But they never have a reason. Look, that's my problem. Is like when they talk about the things they don't like, I'm like, okay, so what is the thing? Not that you don't like it. What is it?
Yeah,
you just rant. I'm like, okay, so you're admitting it's nothing, and you're just you just are bitter and has nothing to do with the actual issue.
Not much is addressed in terms of how to solve problems.
No, never.
By a certain party. It's always just that whatever you're doing about it is screwed up. All right, we got to run. We've been babbling here, and let's hope that thing with Scoop works out. I'm hoping it gets, if it gets the same amount of attention it did yesterday and starts to grow a little bit, I think we're on to something, Lubie. And by next week, we'll have the whole pattern down. It'll be very, very easy to do and a lot of fun. Exactly what I've been looking to do for a long period of time here, Lubie. So it's on me. I'll have to concentrate, walk a life, get my head in the right place, that kind of thing.
Mayo's trying to learn on how to work with Defo. I've learned that eventually you get there. So when I put too much parameters on you, it actually backfires.
Yes.
So I've learned to just sort of, if you notice, that's why I didn't really structure this very much. I told you sort of what I want, and I'm just going to let you go because eventually you'll get there. And I think it's,
I can see what I need to do. It's just, you're used to doing an elongated form of it. And so to condense is actually in the long run easier, but and it's always easier to come. It's like a horse turning back in distance, right? Where he's going a mile and a 16th, and he goes a mile, and then he goes 7 furlongs, then he goes 6 or whatever, or just the less distance that the horse has to encompass, all of a sudden becomes good for them, right? Even though that may not have been their game originally, but cutting back is always easier than trying to expand. So I think it's going to work. And that's what Defo on 5.
Yes.
Hopefully.
I just pasted into the comment because everyone's looking for Defo on 5, and I don't mind that as the title, but they've learned that you put the catchy thing first and then the thing last. So it's there. I told Sarn, he's like, I can't find it. I'm like, it's there. I literally watched it.
Yeah.
It's right here.
How was it? Was it, no good?
It's fine. It's
good.
good. The
Okay.
link is in our chat right now. Okay. So if anyone wants to check out yesterday's Defo on 5, it was very
I was very pleased, man. I got like a bunch of thumbs up and no thumbs down.
No, they never really do.
Very kind, gentle audience
there. Chat for you guys. They don't hide it. It's right there. They just don't put Defo on 5 in the beginning. The Defo on 5 is at the end. The link's right in our chat. Today's will be up, I guess, at 11.
Okay.
So I'm glad we did in the morning. So it could be up at 11. It'll be there at 11. So you can check out today's. It was fun. It was like a Defo gone wild.
It was all right. Yeah. I lost it there at the end because I ran out of time and I barely had touched on more than one topic, which I don't think I addressed very well either. But
I thought it was funny.
It was certainly classic. Yeah. No, it's a perfect format for me. It really is. I've been looking to do this for a while, so I think it's going to be something that we really run with. All right, Lubie, I'll see you at 12 o'clock with the cheesesteaks, and we'll be slobbering down the new Mike Mayo sandwich.
Can't wait.
And, that should be a lot of fun today. I'm interested to see because he really raves about this.
Mayo eating a
pork
mayo.
with broccoli rabe or whatever that is. Is it broccoli rabe? Broccoli rabe on a sandwich? No. Are you kidding me? Pork with something.
It's pork
and obviously some cheese.
Rob and provolone.
Okay. I mean, I know it's famous. I've heard of the sandwich before. Is it kind of like the pork roll and cheese breakfast sandwich? Because that's big at Wawa gas stations in New Jersey.
Pork or like a bacon? This is pork. Like I always thought that was like a bacon ham kind of a.
All right, we'll see what happens. I'm curious to try it. The Mike Mayo sandwich. 12 o'clock today, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. We'll see you then, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time as we leave you on that.
The time.
We leave a lot of stuff out there in the internet environment. It's 9:16.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.